for the level of, failure they have exhibited in not able to cover the tracks, because there is no way this kind of thing can become, even to children. How do you put it out there that an individual has been allocated an office at the Federal Secretariat, that he has been hobnobbing with the government? And I like to let Nigerians know that the chief of staff is not the government. He's only a staff to the president. He's not an elected official and does not hold any symbolic office outside the fact that he's the chief of staff to the president. Those are people who are helping him to get by in his discharge of his day-to-day activities. See, with all the other parastatals. And let's not forget that the same individual is said to have hosted the international community. It means that some persons must have come from within and outside of the country. And in the course of these people coming in, first of all, there's a declaration of intention to come to Nigeria. For what? The reason will be specified before they can be granted visa, even if it's on visa on arrival. Now, these individuals, in the course of that, there will be checks and balances as to, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from the office of the, or within the National Security Advisor, even the Ministry of Interior. So there is no way this individual who has been hosting the international community, that people have been coming into Nigeria under the same invitation of the same body, and that the National Minister of Interior is not aware, and the various offices that are concerned with the national security are not aware, and it simply means that Nigeria is an endangered territory today. If it is possible that people can come into Nigeria without a declaration of their intent or the program they're coming for before they can be granted visa, then we can be said that there's not a serious thing happening in Nigeria.
Well, Chijoke,
so it was the reverse, that these intentions were made and that this individual has been relating with the government, not the staff and all those who are trying to, including the spokesperson of the president, Bayo Onanuga, who has come with a very vague statement or trying to defend themselves.
Chijoke, let me come in here. Not only has Matthew Adeyemi, the main protagonist in this story, not only has he been hobnobbing with the executive, he also had the civil service recruit staff into this agency that the federal government is dubbing fake now. But this is my question to you, right? The head of the civil service of the Federation, Didi Walsinjak, admitted that her office failed to carry out adequate due diligence, like Onena mentioned earlier on. What do you think should be the consequence for this, right? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, the House of Representatives asked the police to produce Adeyemi, who is in their custody, so that they can ask him, how did you get your office? How did you get your documents and all of that? But the police is refusing to produce him. They're asking for a warrant. I'd like for you to address these two issues. First, what should happen to the head of the civil service for not doing their job? And what should happen to the IG who is refusing to heed the request of the House of Representatives?
Incidentally, nothing will happen to any of the persons concerned or mentioned.
Yeah, but what should? Ideally, what should?
Even though somebody should, not just somebody, head should have rolled. I mean, this is an opportunity to, even for the government to showcase its strength in the fight of this so-called anti-corruption crusade. And the first thing that the president should have done is exonerated himself. Every concerned person, including the office of the SGF, should have been by now become regular visitors at ICPC and the EFCC, and you should have been seeing them in court. A long time ago, they would have stepped aside, not been urged to. The mandate, the presidency would have given an order and directives immediately that all concerned persons be trained to, including the head of service, because the National Assembly demands, in fact, they can even sue that they acted based on the information supplied by these concerned persons. The National Assembly is not an investigative agency. So if they were misled they also have the right to sue for damages because they too now are caught in the cross-examination by the people, which is the Nigerians who have become the victim of all this situation.
So before you go on, Chijoke, let me come in here. This begs the question, do you think then that the head of the civil service is being used as a scapegoat? Because already President Tinubu has absolved his chief of staff. Oh, okay, go ahead.
They will look for the weaker link. Why? Because to them, she doesn't play the major role of, in the re-election bid of the president. As long as the whole permutation concerns, the current chief of staff today, whom have sacrificed his ambition for being or wanting to be the next governor of Lagos State, are now being the key insider of the presidency. And also let me remind Nigerians that just recently the president promoted him to being the one to chair the committee on the so-called state policing. So it means that he will be directly involved with the most powerful, in fact, sitting individual in the country after the president. Because the fact that he can influence and be a part of the selection committee that will nominate the commissioners of police, the inaugural. And do not forget that once you have been nominated by anybody, your loyalty will be to that person, including the governor. What it simply means that for now, they cannot afford to sacrifice Baja because Baja has his major key role. As for them, the head of civil service, there are 20 people lined up for such compensation of positions. So she's the link. They can afford to sacrifice. But again, Nigeria should be asking at the tail end, who has not even been mentioned by the principal person. The first person that was being mentioned was the chief of staff. And including the allegations of, because it's not been proven, of over 400 million said to have exchanged hands. Then the intermediary person who suddenly died, fire caught the hotel room, and the hotel room needed to be demolished because now they now have a new law, according to them, which I have not seen. I'm not aware that such law exists, that if a room in a hotel burnt, you should bring down the entire hotel. Meanwhile, I can name more than 60 hotels in Lagos today that have had same incidences, although death did not occur in most of those places. But let's even come back to the question. We have seen even worse situations like this. Somebody I was talking with a few days ago was telling me, in the case of Babachir Lawal with grass cutter, Babachir Lawal was sacrificed and instantly was meant to step down. Now, how come under the chief of staff today, it is difficult for the president to look at him and tell him, go and clear your name? Because the ideal thing would have been, let them come with a logical reason as to all that has been created, including the admission by the head of civil service, who said that the allocation of the office being used by the individual and the office was an allocatee to the office of the chief of staff. Is it possible that the chief of staff is not also aware that the office that is allocated to them at the federal secretariat is being used by an individual who incidentally said he has given him 400 million for him to be appointed in such position? And let's not forget that he's not the only person who is alleging to have given money or have exchanged gifts, to be appointed for one position or the other. We also have widely being circulated the current NDDC chairman, who is alleged to have also parted away with about $5 million. And yet, everything is normal. The Sasorobia perfume seems to be smelling so loud and so, deodorizing in the entire villa that it is difficult for anybody who actually, uses such perfume to be figured out or to be kept or allowed to go and clear their name. They are by the usage of the perfume, they are said to be clean and their sins have been washed off under the APC government. So it's a pity. Nobody will be sacrificed, except if they now decide that the head of civil service can no longer be, or was not able to, or in one way is the weakest link, then they will use her as a sacrificial goat. And then another thing we know is that they will also make an attempt to silence the man at the center, which with the invitation of the National Assembly which is not an investigative unit, or by any law, to be involved in any criminal investigation. I'm not aware that National Assembly has such powers to investigate criminal matter, to that extent. But I will know that with the precedence of what has happened in the past, when they get involved, the carpet begins to welcome a new guest under it. So it's a matter of using the broom and it goes under the carpet.
Okay.
So Nigerians are watching. But what is even most embarrassing is that the whole world is attuned to this whole situation. So for those who are celebrating the so-called letter that has come from Donald Trump, we are wondering if Donald Trump, has actually is aware of this, or perhaps they are not telling Nigerians the content of that letter, because it's obvious that this kind of situation cannot be happening in a country that is said to be fighting corruption, and we're having this kind of, loud, serious allegations, and everybody is walking like as if nothing has happened.
Okay,
so it's such a pity.
Yeah, like you said, Nigerians are watching, and we'll be here to, to give the news or to relay the news as matters unfold. But let's move on to another issue that has come up. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has debunked reports circulating on social media claiming it revised the campaign timetable for 2027 elections. The timetable moved the campaign for this viral graphic that INEC has actually debunked. It moved the campaign ending at the different dates for the ending of campaigns, like a day before, rather on the day that is supposed to be the election day, and not on the day before, like was INEC had actually talked about before. What do you make of this? When you have claims such as this, our election is just 6 months away, and we are getting to hear some of this fake claims. Is it that INEC isn't doing their due diligence, really?
Well, at the moment, it's going to be really a big task. I think this is even testing the ground. INEC should expect more, because we're now in the AI generation, where people who should be in the farm producing food they should eat have become content creators. And in Nigeria, where Dr. Jackery is actually the rule of the day, where everybody is now a content creator, and we're not seeing, this cyberbullying acts or the misinformation acts coming into effect, as in people knowing the gravity of what it is to tinker or to give out false information to the general public. In a situation where the government has not shown the responsibility to go after those that are actually the major disinformers, rather than spending those energies on opposition, these will likely have more coming on the way of the INEC and Nigerians. My only major concern is that with this going into the election, and with the likelihood that there will be a lot of misinformations, including election results, this may become something that may light up the nation, if not well managed. And the security agencies have not shown their preparedness at all to curtail this if it actually ever breaks out. Because the problem usually is, while Nigerians are quick to respond to certain, especially with the emotions, our security agencies are not even creating the parley on how Nigerians should be able to, verify. If not that INEC was able to come out quickly in debunking this, a lot of people would have taken it to the bank and thinking that this was cast and gold. But I'm happy that INEC was able to do that, especially with the timing, and also hoping that they will continue to do so, respond adequately, especially with creating the option for Nigerians to call and the websites to be able to pick the genuine informations, so that when there is any misinformation, Nigerians will know the difference. Because where such information strive is when there is no alternative to the truth, as in to where people can get the genuine informations, then of course you will definitely allow this to thrive. And when it does, it will be very, very, in fact, it will be beyond the imaginations of the people in power today, what level of damage this can cause. And I'm praying it doesn't. And especially the fact that this election season we are is election like there's never before, where almost the majority of Nigerians today are more hungrier, are more angrier, and are more desperate for change. So in such situations, it's going to be something that we must really, really work, especially the media have a greater role to play. I'm hoping that INEC can partner with the majority of the media, if not all the media houses, especially the verifiable media houses, not just the bloggers, so that informations can easily be accessible to people. Because once there's failure of valid information to the people, then they do not blame people when they begin to consume anything they see online. And let's not forget that this has always been the norm in Nigeria, where things go numb. You don't hear anything. So when there's an alternative, people are quick to believe it. Why? Because they believe that information should ideally be out there, be outside there for people to consume. Look at what is happening with the situation of economy. All we hear now is the president telling Nigerians that Nigerians are better. In what indices? Nobody's putting out any valid information, including the NBS, so that people can take a look and be able to weigh in. So in such situations, they become the major prey for misinformers, which is now the order of the day today, that we now hear so many come out with the influencers. Influencing who? Are they negative or positive influencers?
Well, Chijoke, I can tell you that there's a serious war against misinformation as we speak. Yeah, and all hands are on deck for the media to deliver, seeing as it's the fourth state of the realm. But I want to draw your attention to this story, right? Nyesom Wike, Minister of Federal Capital Territory, says that the 2027 election campaigns will not slow down infrastructure development in the Federal Capital Territory under the Renewed Hope agenda. Nyesom Wike is somebody President Tinubu has declared is one of the best performing ministers. I'd like to ask you, considering the fact that Abuja, the FCT, is always a sore thumb for whoever becomes president. Normally, whoever becomes president will not win the FCT. Do you think this campaign, or should I say these projects that Nyesom Wike is carrying out, including reclamation of greenlands, I must say, as some activists have pointed out, do you think it's going to really influence the elections positively for President Tinubu, FCT-wise?
Yes, I do think so. I do think so. We must give it to Wike, even though I don't agree with him on majority of his lifestyle and issues and all the things he's been doing to, especially with the disregard for people's feelings and people's concerns. I totally feel that with the current situations today, they have a grip of Abuja. And you see, the situations that Nigerians have been battered to a point where everything that is done with their own money is seen as a great gift. Why other ministers are not performing, we're not asking ourselves why. Are we aware that most of the ministries are not being funded today? Forget the stories. Many of the ministers do not have the emboldenment to come out and speak. And that is why a lot of them actually preferred to have gone the way of going to go and chase their destinies with their pursuit for various electoral positions in their states. So many of them didn't make it back. But the truth remains out there that Nigerians today do not have much of choices except what they can see in front of them. And if the oppositions really must let Nigerians understand, because I feel one major problem that's happening to the larger populace today is misinformation and lack of knowledge. Greater persons out there are misinformed. The majority also out there do not have any valid information. And that is why the mindset of the average Nigerian to thinking that those who are in authority are actually doing them a favor by the works or the few selected works they do. And you begin to wonder and ask, where is the mentality and understanding that these are servants, not the rulers they have become? They have only become rulers because Nigerians have lost the knowledge or the request to ask for accountability to a point where now it is now a norm. There is no public service or public servant today that I'm aware any of their child schools in Nigeria. Every time you open any of the social medias, including all the media houses and print medias, you will see them flying out with our money to go and see celebrate their children where they're graduating in very expensive schools in UK, in US, in the rest of the Europe. Meanwhile, the so-called public universities and facilities that is said to be being built for the people, none of those things outlives even the 6 months of the retention. That is, the 6 months is supposed to be that after a contractor, you're supposed to hold a 5% retention as a guarantee that the project would not have any issues. And if it does within that 6 months, the contractor will have to come back. I'm not aware of that in functions because most of the contract, the minute it is commissioned, give it a month or two, everything goes in comatose. So we ask ourselves, if these people truly love our dear nation, how come that most of their families are not in Nigeria? Where is the love coming from? And we can see the continued looting that is taking place in Nigeria without any other form of, some sort of individuals being put to trial or prosecuted for these stealings. When it has become a norm that all of these things are going into garbage. And we now see that Abuja now, which is the only so-called working environment now by the Minister of FCT, as the major campaign source for the president. Well, I'm glad that some of the APC chieftains are coming out to say that if election is conducted today, based on what they know as an insiders, not outsiders, that the APC cannot win a free and fair election because they have not even 1/3 of the promises they made to Nigeria. One critical thing is the fact that Nigerians are still living in the dark. And in a company or a country that actually is projecting to have a $1 trillion economy that does not have electricity and has not been able to generate even beyond 2,000 megawatts, and then you're asking or imagining or living on the wishful thinking that all of these things will be achieved overnight. If doing roads in Abuja is the way that the presidency feels that they can win the election, well, I don't think that alone will determine.
Okay.
But again, we need to ask ourselves, what is the voter power strength of FCT compared to other states that have been deprived?
Okay, Chijioke. Well, the election is just around the corner. Who gets to know how well that would help the president? Thank you very much, Chijioke, for being.
Thank you for having.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll be speaking with Chijioke Oji. He is a public affairs analyst. Moving on. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 2 Command, Onikon Olorodari Jimo, has been recognized as the most outstanding anti-crime police chief in West and Central Africa for 2025. Our correspondent, Onyidamola Olukuto, reports.
Presented by the Chief Executive Officer and International Coordinator of the Security Watch Africa Initiative Network, Patrick Agbambo, who commended the AIG's leadership and commitment to tackling crime. Recognition celebrates his contribution to policing and efforts at enhancing security across the region.
I want to say that this award, like I said earlier, is dedicated to all officers and men of these two commands, because how many can I do as an AIG? It is what the personnel are doing, though under my supervision, that has culminated into this award being given to me. So like I said, this is the 19th award. I get to know about the award in 2008. I think I'm the most happiest person today, even among the awardees, to be so awarded, because I know when it began 2004, 2008, while we were lieutenant then to those who are being given the award. So I want to let you know that it is a thing of joy for us as Sontu Headquarters to be so awarded around this time, where people are peddling a lot of rumor, a lot of outright misinformation to the members of the public about my person and about the office of the Assistant Inspector General of Police.
Oyindamola Olukuto, Voice of the People TV.
Oyindamola, thank you so much. And now the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Anambra State Command has impounded a truck with 45,000 liters of suspected adulterated automotive gas oil, AGO, in Onitsha. The state commandant, Marco Latunde, while addressing reporters at the NSCDC State Command Headquarters, Oka, on Wednesday, said the truck was intercepted on Tuesday at about 4:45 p.m. along Oka Road by the Anti-Vandalism Squad. He explained that the driver abandoned the truck and fled on sighting NSCDC operatives. Olatunde said the product and truck currently at the command headquarters in Oka are undergoing investigation and laboratory analysis. He added that efforts are ongoing to arrest the fleeing driver and warned against economic sabotage in the oil sector.
As investigations continue into Thursday's runway incident involving an Enugu aircraft at the Benin airport, more passengers are speaking about their experiences, shedding light on the tense moment before the aircraft veered off the runway and the emergency response that followed. One of the passengers, Vincent Agbolahao, recounted the frightening ordeal in this report by Rhoda Journey.
Have continued to emerge following Thursday's runway incident involving an Enugu Air aircraft at the Benin airport, with passenger Vincent Agbolaho recounting the frightening experience as investigations into the incident continue. Agbolaho described the tense moments leading up to the incident and the anxiety that gripped passengers as the aircraft approached Benin airport.
And because I was sitting on the wing, my seat was 28 or so. I was by the window side. By the wing, on top of the wing is where I was sitting. So I could see outside. So I was running so fast. I saw the runway, the tarred road. Suddenly I was not seeing anything again. I was seeing bushes.
He also spoke about the evacuation process, the aftermath of the incident, and the swift response of emergency personnel, while expressing concern over the impact the experience has had on some passengers.
Some people got injured, though the injury was not so optical. I'm sure some of them broke their bones were cracked or something like that. Like me, I didn't feel it until I left. After like few hours later, my neck has been paining me. My neck, my waist, my pain. My wife has been acting abnormal since because she has been having a lot of shocks.
Agbalaho further called on the federal and Edo state government to expand the Benin airport runway and urged the airline to maintain contact with affected passengers.
For our working governor, Governor Monday Ukpebolo, you have done so much, and you can do more. You can still do more by collaborating with the federal government to maybe expand the runway and do some infrastructure at the airport. And again, make sure that the laws that guide the aviation system is to actually favor the aviation community itself and the people of Nigeria.
Meanwhile, Enugu Air Management says the safety and well-being of its passengers and crew remain its highest priority, adding that everyone on board was safely evacuated and that it is cooperating with the relevant aviation authorities investigating the incident. Rhoda Johnny, Voptv News.
Very well done, Rhoda. Thank you. Now on the foreign scene, Japan's southwestern Kyushu region has more than 100 aftershocks since it was struck on Tuesday by a powerful earthquake which left at least 13 people dead. Many others were said to be in cardiac arrest, a term often used in preliminary reports in Japan before a death is officially confirmed. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takahashi warned the government was racing against time to rescue those trapped. Tuesday's quake hit the Kumamoto prefecture and Kyushu Island. One of the worst hit buildings was the Inn Mall in Kashima, where a portion of the second floor collapsed.
And now to business. The federal government has approved the 2026 fiscal policy measures and tariff amendments. The Nigeria Customs Service, NTS, says implementation has begun on the framework approved by President Bola Tinubu. According to NCS spokesperson, Deputy Comptroller Abdullahi Maywadar, the reforms include revised import and export duties, an updated prohibition list, and a green tax on vehicles with engines of 2,000 cubic centimeters and above. The service says the goal is to boost competitiveness, support local industry, increase revenue, and align with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Common External Tariff. The NCS urged importers, exporters, and agents to study the new schedules on its website and comply.
Well, in sports news, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has written to all 211 member associations, offering up to $40 million each to back a controversial commercial plan. In a letter, Infantino said associations that approve by September 19th will get $20 million from January 1st, 2027, and another $20 million later. The plan creates a new company, a FIFA Forward enterprise, to manage major tournaments, including the Men's and Women's World Cup and Club World Cup. External investors could buy minority stakes. Infantino says it could raise up to $10 billion for football development worldwide.
And now to entertainment. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has approved the payment of the first phase of medical expenses for veteran Nollywood actress Ngozi Nwosu. The actress had made a public appeal for financial assistance to undergo 3 life-saving surgeries. The announcement was made by the governor's senior special assistant on tourism and entertainment, Martins Justice, in a post on X, formerly Twitter. Justice said the governor had intervened to cover part of Nwosu's medical bills. He stated that while they appreciated the governor's support, they were still appealing to well-meaning Nigerians to assist the actress in any way possible. He also expressed gratitude to the governor on behalf of members of the creative industry.
And that's how we wrap it up tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndamdioto. Bye for now.
Big news this year. Your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 gigahertz, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Polarized vertical, frequency 2, 12.731 gigahertz, symbol rate 26,250 kilobytes per second. Polarization H. This works on any decoder. Catch up to 100 channels, sports, movies, news, all for free. This is with better quality at no extra cost. Voptv on Free TV. Now you have more than a voice.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
Nigerians, your voice matters, and in 2027 it starts with your permanent voters card, your PVC. If you're 18 and above and you're a Nigerian citizen, you have the right to choose who leads your community, your state, and your country. But that right only counts if you have your PVC and your name is on the voter register. Here's what to do. First, check if you're registered. If you're not, or if you've moved, lost your card, or turned 18 since the last election, go to the nearest INEC office or an INEC registration center. Second, it's free. Don't pay anyone for any registration or collection. Third, collect your PVC early. Don't wait until the week before elections. INEC will announce dates. Listen to radio, TV, and follow INEC's official pages. Your PVC is more than plastic. It's your power to hold leaders accountable. It's how you decide on roads, schools, hospitals, and jobs for your community. When you vote, you decide the future of your children. Get registered. Get your PVC. Vote in 2027. For Nigeria to work, you must be a part of it. Your vote, your future, your responsibility.
This message is brought to you by Voice of the People, VOP Media.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
If you've been drinking, don't drive. Hand over the keys to another driver. Call a friend or family member. Use a taxi or a ride-hailing service. Wait until you're completely sober before getting behind the wheel. A few minutes of inconvenience is far better than a lifetime of regret. Friends, don't stand by in silence. If someone who has been drinking insists on driving, speak up. Offer an alternative. Taking away their keys could save a life. Driving is our responsibility, not a right. Every time you take the wheel, you're responsible for the safety of everyone on the road. Today, make the choice that protects lives. Celebrate responsibly. Think before you drive. If you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink. Because every life matters and every safe journey begins with the right decision. This message is brought to you by Voice of the People Television.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
Are you looking for where to buy quality and original studio and musical equipment in Nigeria? Welcome to Iruka Online, Nigeria's biggest musical and sound equipment warehouse. Your trusted home for top global brands, reliable low-priced alternatives, and 100% original musical accessories. With over 60 locations nationwide and open 7 days a week, we deliver unbeatable service and customer support you can count on. Shop online at iruka.com in partnership with world-renowned brands like Wolfdale Pro, Prisoners, Twile Keyboards, Fender and Jackson Guitars, Marshall Amplification, Mapex Acoustic Drum Set, Tech Electronic Drums and Accessories, Evans Drumheads, Ashdown Engineering, and many more. Iruka Online, powering your sound with quality you can trust.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Hey guys, it's your girl Arika the Dimples, aka Risky Baby, and you are watching VOP TV. Do not go anywhere. Where are you going to? Stay here. Calm down. Stay here if you're not.
What's up, everybody? Who's Arco here, and I'm hanging out on VOP TV. Keep it locked, don't go nowhere. Let's go.
Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Jagade. You are watching VOP TV, and don't change the dial, because I said so.
Who's happy to post? I mean, who's happy the most? Because when shit goes south, y'all be happy to ghost. When you make a wrong move, they be happy to roast. But be careful when you win, who's not happy to toast. I am VJ Adams, and you rock with VOP TV. Don't move.
Hi, people. Bisola here, and you are watching VOP TV. Mwah.
Shout out to VOP TV. It's so good to have you on the red carpet of AV. Love you all. Wishing you all the best.
Here's a shout out to VOP TV. It's your girl April Oshidikwe at the AV premiere. You know what it is.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda Ejiofor Suleiman, and I'm live at the EV premiere. Keep watching VOP TV.
I want to say hello to my Italian friends. I want to say them that Nigeria is the best country in the world, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, my name is Tomo Atebe. I'm an actor, and you guys are live on VOP TV. Keep it locked, because I said so.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your girl Phil Storms out here, and this is a big shout out to VOP TV.
Hi guys, my name is Charles Bourne.
My name is Lydia Lawrence Nzaya.
Please
and
keep watching Voice of the People Television. Love ya.
Nigerians, your voice matters, and in 2027 it starts with your permanent voters card, your PVC. If you're 18 and above and you're a Nigerian citizen, you have the right to choose who leads your community, your state, and your country. But that right only counts if you have your PVC and your name is on the voter register. Here's what to do. First, check if you're registered. If you're not, or if you've moved, lost your card, or turned 18 since the last election, go to the nearest INEC office or an INEC registration center. Second, it's free. Don't pay anyone for any registration or collection. Third, collect your PVC early. Don't wait until the week before elections. INEC will announce dates. Listen to radio, TV, and follow INEC's official pages. Your PVC is more than plastic. It's your power to hold leaders accountable. It's how you decide on roads, schools, hospitals, and jobs for your community. When you vote, you decide the future of your children. Get registered. Get your PVC. Vote in 2027. For Nigeria to work, you must be a part of it. Your vote, your future, your responsibility.
This message is brought to you by Voice of the People, VOP Media.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday.
TGIT, thank God it's Thursday. Welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Jane Ogoye. It's a rainy day here in Lagos, so do drive safely, carefully, and observe all other road users as you drive along. We have so many topics we'll be trailing this morning, from insecurity, politics, and so much more across Nigeria. Top on our list, police arrest Osun SSG over alleged vote buying. Boko Haram, ISWAP clash leaves scores dead. And finally, rising housing costs spark safety concerns. These are the stories we'll be trailing, so do come along and stick with us. Thank you.
She is Jane Ogoye. I am Tupu Mako. Good morning and many thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. We appreciate your presence as always.
Yes, of course. Good morning. Welcome. I woke up this morning and I felt like singing, the nursery rhyme. Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day.
Even when it wasn't raining.
Even when it was not raining.
Even when it was not raining.
It was
Some
raining.
people decided to call the rain.
Yeah.
Some people decided to turn to Majek Fashek. And Majek Fashek happened.
Send down the rain.
Send down the rain.
Oh, well, it's the season. And I hope there will be the August break, the usual August
Hopefully,
break.
I can't wait for it.
Okay. Oh, well, let's get into some other conversation. The House of Representatives is considering a bill that would require tanker and trailer drivers across Nigeria to undergo compulsory drug tests every 6 months. Now, the proposal is aimed at reducing the alarming rate of fatal road crashes involving heavy-duty vehicles, with lawmakers arguing that substance abuse among some drivers is a preventable risk that threatens lives and property. Beyond the proposed drug screening, stakeholders in the petroleum sector also called for broader reforms to improve fuel distribution, strengthen local refining, and address transport challenges. While industry players warned that continued dependence on trucks to move petroleum products could worsen road congestion and increase the risk of tanker accidents, urging government to invest in safer and more efficient distribution infrastructure. Of course, it's high time we build such channels, undersea channels, things that will enable us move. And then if we have the train service, when you build these things, such infrastructure, it makes for easy flow of business and development comes easily. So we should see government we should have interstate train services, as that will go a long way. Cargo trains and the rest of them will go a long way in reducing the trucks that we have on the roads. Now let's go to drug testing. Yes. But the big question is, who will be conducting the test? Is it the NDLEA? Is it the Federal Road Safety Corps? Is it the transport operators? Who would be conducting the test? And we know how things work. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but we know how things work here. People always find a way to circumvent things. But then again, talking road accidents, it's not only usage of substance that causes road accidents. There's the issue of fatigue.
Yeah.
How do you address that? Shouldn't companies, or should companies now reduce work time? Now, these companies have fewer drivers, and then they have mileage to cover. So they put pressure on them, to cover the distance. So there is the issue of fatigue. Now, I don't know if you've ever driven tired, exhausted. You would find yourself, I just thank God for my life. I thank God for my life, because there was a time in my career I was working. Yeah. Morning, I'm somewhere. Evening, I'm on radio. Night, I'm in another studio. My car was basically my house. I had my clothes in the car, and they would go from one place to another. And then I remember one day I was along on top the Independence Tunnel, Maryland axis, there's the traffic lights. There was still the filling station at the edge of the road there. There was one mobile filling station
had Mr. Biggs.
Yes. At the traffic light, I stepped on the brakes, waiting for the light to turn green, and
You slept off?
I slept off.
My goodness.
I was exhausted. I slept off. It took the police, traffic warden and the police around there to come and tap on the window like, "Are you okay?" Like, "I'm tired." It's okay. Just drive into the mobile station. They went in there, allowed this man rest. I parked, slept for some minutes before I went on my way. So fatigue is a major contributory factor to road crashes, not just involving tanker drivers, but they cover longer distances. So we should. Who is going to implement that? Who would compel the companies to ensure that these drivers have time to rest and recoup before they get on the road? Another thing is the road themselves. How good are our roads? You have roads, I mean, even roads that you're familiar with, you know where the potholes are, you know where, and then one day you get on the road and you're surprised to see a gully where there was none initially. So what happens to who would now, who should we be thinking about? So it's a lot to ensure that we curb road accidents, not just involving tanker drivers, but involving every road user. Let me put down my mic here.
You pretty much touched on everything. Like, I share your sentiments 101%. And I think away from that, we don't even have a database. So even if they say they want to conduct a routine drug test on some of these tanker drivers, do we even have a database of the actual number of tanker drivers we have? And we also know that a particular company, their tanker drivers are usually involved in the most accidents. While this is a laudable call, I think it's just brushing the surface of the issue and not the root cause, the major issues. You highlighted the roads, Moses, and I really do, I do share your sentiments in that regard. You also talked about the overdependence on roads as a means of transporting petrol and other, I mean, mostly it's petrol.
Yes.
Petrol and whatever. The roads are the major channels with which we transport some of these things. How about we had maybe on the ground, what's it called? Other channels like maybe pipelines, and because that's what happens in developed saner climes. But in Nigeria, these things are not available. And then how about we began to take driving a tanker as a complete, like a real job? Because I do know that in the Western world, even in Canada, I do see some, they give avenues for people to even migrate to Canada to become tanker drivers, because it's a job. So maybe if we also brand it as a noble profession, maybe we can put some sanity in there. Because most of the people who even take to tanker driving, if you see a lot of them, you see them, some of them are old, or sometimes you even see underage. Yes, I've seen an underage boy drive a tanker because there's no sanity. So I think we should go back, look inwards, and begin to do the right things. Like you always say, we are not short of ideas, lofty ideas.
We are not short of ideas.
We are not short of ideas. When it comes to ideas, we have it yakpa in Nigeria, but I think implementation and not doing a lot of looking inwards, I think that's where I would drop my mic like Moses.
Let me pick up the mic from the both of you. As usual,
yeah.
I mean, there are too many talking points around this particular issue. First of all, we are talking about, avoidable road accidents, and members of the House of Representatives are asking for drug tests, periodic drug tests, for tanker drivers. 6 months. Jay, you said it's laudable. It's laudable, I agree with you, but there's always a starting point. Let's start from leadership itself. I think members of the House of Representatives also need drug testing.
My goodness.
Because, yes, they need drug testing. In fact, it shouldn't even be 6 months. It should be quarterly. Because some of their actions are so reckless that they even kill more Nigerians than the tanker drivers cause accidents on the roads. Because if you look at the House of Representatives, some of the policies they churn out, some of the laws they make, you begin to wonder, these people, where did they come from? Are they living here in Nigeria with us? What happened? We are discussing the issue of fiscal responsibility. They are allocating how much? Close to 1 trillion naira for empowerment, new SUVs and all of that. I mean, that should have been put into better use in hospitals, schools and all of that. So at the end of the day, more Nigerians are killed through their very unfriendly laws, very unfriendly policies that they make. And so if they are recommending drug tests for tanker drivers on a basis of 6 monthly basis, I think they should also undergo drug tests regularly, probably quarterly. You recall, I'm not the one, I didn't make it up. There was a senator that said, well, members of the National Assembly need periodic drug tests, because if you conduct checks or searches in their houses and offices, you will discover that there's a lot going on. That's about the drug test and all of that. I do share your ideas. We are worried about who is going to conduct the drug test. Who will be in charge? Is it NDLE or what? Are there not going to be short corners? Short cuts where people just come and say, well, I've been tested, they pay some money like we normally see in what happens in Nigeria all the time. And so implementation is an issue. Talking about road accident, Moses did highlight recklessness, fatigue, what again? Bad roads. Recklessness also is a major contributory aspect, factor when you talk about road accidents. I'm on the road and I'm driving a particular brand of vehicle. And someone driving the same brand, the same model, same year and everything. I'm doing 120 and the person overtakes me. So that person is telling me, what I understand is that that person is probably doing 140 or more. And I'm wondering how. Majority of the road accidents are caused by carelessness, recklessness, and overspeeding.
And impatience.
Impatience. So road rage, at that point, if anything happens, if something jumps out from the sideway, I mean, you've already lost control, and that's an accident waiting to happen. So beyond this, and it will be interesting to know that, and instructive that, I make bold to say I've not conducted research, but randomly, I do appreciate the fact that, and I understand that more than 60% of Nigerian drivers are not licensed to drive. Yes. More than 60% are not, because I conduct random. When was the last time you updated your license? As someone tells me, I don't even have a license. So how come you drive? And you see, most of the bus drivers, you know how they transform, you know, from conductor to driver and
from mechanic.
Yes, mechanic.
From mechanic to conductor, panel beater, and the next thing, the person was on the road on the express, you know, carrying lives. And I wonder, I mean, if I have put in so much in my life, you know, my parents sent me to school, your parents sent you to school and all of that, you have master's, PhD and all of that, and you put your life in the hands of one man that just woke up one day from conductor and is a driver. Your life is in his hands and all of that. So the drug test is very important, but like we said, normally, the problem of implementation is concerning to us. Before I leave this conversation and get into another one, I want to talk about the transportation of fuel and other products. The few places I've visited in Europe and parts of Asia, I mean, I don't see tankers. Looks like tankers are now basically meant for Africa, especially for conveying petroleum products. In some places, like I said, I never saw anyone, but some of them do it in such a way that the filling stations are piped directly from the tank farm. I don't know how they do that, but it's something that we should learn. Rail lines.
And another thing also, sorry to butt in, another thing is they have stipulated times, hours with which, I mean, in other clients, which they ply the roads. They don't.
I'm happy that you talked about Canada, you know. More than 50,000 tankers crisscross the borders of Canada and United States of America. But we don't get to hear about the kind of accidents that we have here. At some point, Dangote Industries advertised, wanted to employ PhD holders, remember, doctorate holders, you know, to serve as tanker drivers and all of that. But I don't know how it just died out like that. Well, unfortunately, we also see very educated people, you know, drive recklessly on the main road. So it's about self-conduct and all of that. Well, let's move away from here and get into another interesting topic. Moses?
Well, a recent review of Kogi State's 2026 half-year budget performance has sparked public debate after revealing that the state reportedly spent 2.9 billion naira on refreshment and meals between January and June, while no funds were released for flood preparedness. Well, despite budgeting 1 billion naira for the purpose, the report has raised questions about spending priorities, especially as Kogi remains one of Nigeria's most flood-prone states. The findings come against the backdrop of repeated flood warnings from agencies such as NIMET and NISA, which listed Kogi among the states at high risk of flooding this year. But the state has also experienced devastating floods in recent years, with hundreds of homes destroyed and communities displaced. The report has reignited conversation about the importance of disaster preparedness, accountability in public spending, and whether governments are investing enough in protecting lives and property before disaster strike. Of course, I understand we are battling a whole lot in this part of the world, and that's just to say the least. Flood waters, flash floods. Now, not just now. I think the soil is largely, being washed off. We are seeing houses, buildings collapse, and all of that. So there is a need to be a lot more prepared. But the question is, will the necessary agency Putin, will government at all levels now, state, local, federal, put in measures that will protect lives and property? Will the people themselves be aware to, degraded structures? As the structure starts to degrade, will you be conscious of it? Will you report? Will you evacuate? And then when you ask people to evacuate, I'm talking about building collapse now. You ask people to move from one place to another. Where is the means? I know a lot of people who are staying in places that are flood prone, and they're paying as much as 3 million, and then they want to move to places that you would hardly see floods, and they're talking 5 million for a 3-bedroom apartment. Salaries have not increased. Businesses are not thriving like that. Some people are, doing okay, but some others are struggling. So there's a whole lot. So it's there's a lot that can be done, and you start to ask yourself, what exactly are government officials doing? What do they talk about when they gather? Do they truly represent their constituents?
Moses, let me tell you what they talk about when they gather. They talk about how to make more money off us, make more money of the people, because we're talking about 2.9 billion spent on entertainment for just 6 months. The issue of government houses and ministries in government spending money. When Alex Otti became governor in 2023, in the first quarter, he spent 223 million naira, for entertainment. And when Nigerians, when Abia people raised the issue, some people said it was 1 billion naira, but he came out, as a government to say, no, it wasn't 1 billion naira, it was 223 million naira, from July to September, first quarter of his tenure. And when we did a check, we saw that the previous administration, from January to March of that year, they spent 8 million naira. And Alex spent 223 million naira, just the third quarter and all of that. And so that is the issue here. What will you be doing? But they said the 223 million naira was across ministries, not just the government house, ministries and parastatals. And we are asking 223. So when people come to your office in the morning to collect files and sign up, you serve them tea and biscuits.
I was just going to ask you, when we say entertainment, you guys, please make it make sense. What exactly is the money for?
Who are you entertaining? And so this one is 2.9 billion naira, and the government has not disputed that. Of course, it's from their fiscal expenditure for that quarter, and so there is nothing they can deny as far as this is concerned. And so you begin to wonder. I think it's only in Africa that you have bad that has two sides. When I say bad has two sides, what I mean is that where some people will say there is nothing wrong with it. But in other clients where people have made progress, what is bad is bad. Let me just read out something for you so that you'll understand where we are coming from. Now, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the UK, sometime you recall, he had issues, And why was he booted out of office? Several reasons, bordering on fiscal irresponsibility. Now, leaked invoices revealed that the luxury makeover of number 11 Downing Street apartment, close by to 10 Downing Street, totaled around 200,000, far exceeding the 30,000 naira annual public maintenance. He's supposed to spend 30,000 pounds, and he spent 200,000 pounds. Compare that to a place where we have 1 billion naira for the renovation of the vice president's residence in Lagos.
My goodness.
We are not talking about the renovation of the Akiola Agoda house, before he moved in, the moment he was sworn in as vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is it. And again, an initial 58,000 pounds portion of the bill was secretly paid for by a Conservative Party donor, leading to investigations by the Electoral Commission. Just 58,000 pounds of that amount was paid by a donor. And again, broader scandal leading to his ouster. Partygate, widespread public anger over illegal lockdown, breaching gatherings held inside number 10 Downing Street during strict national COVID-19 restrictions. You recall that he held a party, inside 10 Downing Street.
During the COVID-19 time.
Would that pass for something like a censor to blame someone in Nigeria? Would that pass for just ordinary blame?
Well, it wouldn't here.
It wouldn't here.
At that time, it's something that should have been guarded against because you were basically exposing those people to the spread of COVID.
You know, so my emphasis is that what is
So here,
it's only in Africa that
those
bad
things.
has good sides and bad sides. Because some people will defend it. Don't be surprised at what is going on in Kogi State now. Some people will put their arm and the leg to defend the government.
I really feel for Kogi State.
No, feel for Africa, feel for Nigeria.
Kogi State is peculiar. I really feel for them because they've never really, had it really good when it comes to governance. That's my opinion. Their immediate past governor, who is vying to become a member of the, who is vying to become a member of the House of Rep, or is it Senate? He did so much for the state in court. And even when he had the scandal about how much he spent for his children's school, how much he misappropriated.
80 billion.
Don't even think about it.
But the people say he didn't.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say.
They defended
him and they said it was not. What was their defense? It was not their money. He
didn't misappropriate their money, basically.
No, that was what they said.
Yes,
that was what the people. That's why I said.
Meanwhile, the school returned the money to government coffers.
Yes. And
So
they still
how
have
come
other
their
funds.
money?
And this same man, in a normal client, should not even come out. How much more, aspire to become a lawmaker?
No, they will tell you that
Nigeria?
he's not been found guilty or convicted by a court of competent jurisdiction.
He hasn't, actually. He hasn't.
He hasn't. So all of these are allegations, right?
These are allegations, yes. They are in the realm of allegations.
That's how we roll.
All right, Jen, last story.
Yeah,
Briefly.
the Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC, has called for the immediate suspension of the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Tijani Fatai, after he attended the inauguration of the Lagos chapter of the City Boy Movement, a group that openly supports President Bola Tinubu. The opposition party argues that the police chief's appearance at the event raises concerns about the neutrality of the Nigerian police force ahead of the 2027 general elections. The City Boy Movement, however, insists it's a grassroots platform committed to promoting the administration's renewed hope agenda and mobilizing supporters for future elections. The development has sparked debate over whether security officials should attend political affiliated events and how such appearances may affect public confidence in the impartiality of security agents during the electoral process. I did see the video. I saw when he sauntered into the hall. I saw several clips on social media. And then the first thing that just came to my mind is, what's the big deal? It's Nigeria. Anything goes. Even if Nigerians talk from today to tomorrow, like I always say, and like Okoro usually says, we are not angry enough. It's Nigeria. That's how we roll. If a public office holder in the person of the state CP is seen to or portrays himself as partisan, how do you want to repose that trust in people? How do you want people to trust that when it comes to game time, when it comes to the elections, that you would actually be non-partisan? It can't work. It can't work. I just feel that anything just goes in Nigeria. And sometimes the more we talk about these things, the more they get worse. And just like you said, maybe with time, we'll get to that point where Nigerians will really demand for the right thing. I saw it and
I know that for the optics, this is
Yeah.
bad. I mean, for the optics, because, he's the chief police officer
Security
in Lagos.
officer.
And, they will expect some sort of seeming neutrality. But personally, all right, and don't come for my head, personally, I don't see the big deal. He was invited,
There's a big
and
deal.
he went.
There's
Now,
a big
they could have asked for police protection as well. And of course, if they are gathering and they ask for police protection, it's expected that the police will be there to protect.
Well, the police
so if the commissioner of police
was there, it was
if
the commissioner of police that was there.
If the commissioner of police was also an invited guest and he chose to appear,
So he could have turned it down.
He could have
He could have
absolutely.
turned it down.
He could have, but then it doesn't translate to.
Oh, no, Moses.
It doesn't
No,
translate
Moses, don't do
to
that.
endorsement.
No, it
No,
does.
Moses,
I'm doing
it
that.
does.
No,
I'm
it
doing
does.
that.
Don't do that.
It
You
does.
don't always have.
It
you don't
does.
always have to agree.
Everything is wrong. In
No,
what
everything
you
is wrong
You shouldn't
with
have.
this.
You should
You
have
shouldn't
sent
have.
ordinary officers at least.
Even if he's not
ASPs
partisan.
and all of
Yeah,
that.
they should have.
How often does he go to conduct the peace in other places?
Yeah.
That's the question. How often do you see
He was an invited guest.
No, he shouldn't
Yes,
have.
but
He
he
should have
shouldn't
turned
have.
it down.
He was an invited guest.
Because
He turned up.
now he has become a politically exposed person.
That's what it means.
Because his neutrality, his impartiality
It's in
has
question.
been called to question.
Well,
Unfortunately so.
I chose to be on the opposing side.
All right. Your free will.
Oh, well, let's run to the papers now. Let's see what the headlines that we have from the dailies this morning.
Let's kick off with the Guardian newspaper. Opposition flays Tinubu's focus on re-election, loses confidence in INEC. Oshun, Amupiton meets stakeholders amid tension. High interest rates unsettling Nigeria hit 20-year high, says Oxford Economics. PFIPC scandal, more concerns as HOS admits lapses in vetting process. Atiku accuses Tinubu of fiscal recklessness, falls 12.62 trillion naira borrowing. Brent crude nears $90 per barrel as diesel depot prices jump to 1,670 a litre. How Nigeria secured $30 billion Paris Club debt relief. That's coming from Okundre Iweala. Xenophobia, Lesotho woos Nigerians as federal government South Africa resume talks. US to stop visa processing at Abuja Embassy, 24 other African nations. Northern senators back Tinubu's military expansion after Benue, Kaduna massacres. These are the stories from the Guardian newspaper.
Pretty much how far we can go on newspaper headlines. Newspaper review much later at 10 will do justice to these headlines. Police arrest Oshun SSG over alleged vote buying. Let's talk about this when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
Big news this year. Your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 gigahertz, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Polarized vertical, frequency 2, 12.731 gigahertz, symbol rate 26,250 kilobytes per second. Polarization H. This works on any decoder. Catch up to 100 channels, sports, movies, news, all for free. This is with better quality at no extra cost. Voptv on Free TV. Now you have more than a voice.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
2564 is coming up on Burning 9, right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Are you looking for where to buy quality and original studio and musical equipment in Nigeria? Welcome to Iruka Online, Nigeria's biggest musical and sound equipment warehouse. Your trusted home for top global brands, reliable low-priced alternatives, and 100% original musical accessories. With over 16 locations nationwide and open 7 days a week, we deliver unbeatable service and customer support you can count on. Shop online at iruka.com in partnership with world-renowned brands like Voptv Pro, Prisoners, Twile Keyboards, Fender and Jackson Guitars, Marshall Amplification, Mapex Acoustic Drum Set, Toe Tech Electronic Drums and Accessories, Evans Drumheads, Ashdown Engineering and many more. Iruka Online, powering your sound with quality you can trust.
is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Welcome to Romeo Pizza. Sink your teeth into our freshly baked pizzas. Loaded with rich sauce, melted cheese, and irresistible toppings. Where every bite is a love story. Treat yourself to our creamy, dreamy ice cream. Smooth, sweet, and made to brighten your day. Or maybe you want it hot and satisfying. Our juicy shawarma is wrapped to perfection, packed with flavor in every mouthful. Pizza, ice cream, shawarma. Why choose one when you can have it all? Romeo Pizza has exactly what your taste buds desire.
On Edu Dialogue, we bring you fresh ideas and conversations, shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
From the views on the streets,
we go to bed empty hunger.
Thanks for staying with us. This is VOP this morning. The Osun State Police Command has arrested the secretary to the state government, Teslim Ibolaye, and 5 others following a raid on a property in Oshobo. Well, police say the operation was based on intelligence that a wanted suspect linked to serious crimes was hiding there. During the raid, officers reportedly recovered 4.81 million naira, a laptop, a printer, a photocopy machine, 2 permanent voter cards, and a voter register covering wards 1 to 15. Investigators say the discoveries have raised concerns about possible vote buying, electoral offenses under the Electoral Act 2026, criminal conspiracy, and the alleged harboring of the wanted suspect. The police insist the investigation will be conducted without fear or favor, and that anyone found culpable will face prosecution. However, Osun State government has rejected the allegations, describing the arrest as politically motivated and part of a broader campaign targeting government officials and members of their court party ahead of the August 8th governorship election. The government claims the SSG was attending an INEC stakeholders meeting when his residence was searched, while party officials were holding a meeting at the premises. Adding another layer to the controversy, the Imole Campaign Council alleged that more than 80 Accord Party members have also been arrested and detained without charges, accusing the police of bias and calling for the intervention of the Inspector General of Police and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Meanwhile, the Osun State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Gotan, said he was not immediately aware of the reported mass arrests, leaving key questions over the operation and its implications for the credibility of the forthcoming elections. We have in the studio here to help us make sense of this development, Dele Fanimo. Dele is a veteran reporter and a political affairs analyst. Good morning, Dele, and thanks for joining us. We appreciate your presence. We'll be joined by our guests virtually in the course of the program. In the meantime, let's stay with Dele here. Dele, developments in Osun State, August 8th for the elections, and we see arrests, SSG reportedly arrested 80 members of the Accord Party and all of that. Vote buying, loading. That's what the Accord Party is saying. Well, probably. Now, that's what the opposition party is saying. Probably, the money that was found in the man's residence and all of that is meant for vote buying. How do you react to this development? Holistically, before we get into the specifics.
Well, it's a foreboding, and it's a clear indication of what would happen on election day. Of course, I'm always of the opinion that most of the political parties, if not all, rig elections. Your tendency to rig and the opportunity for you to rig is dependent on your popularity in that particular area of coverage during an election. So, now it is Accord Party. Tomorrow it could be ADC, it could be APC, it could be NDC. The question is, the build-up to this election is worrisome and is scary. On the last count, officially there have been close to 3 or 4 deaths associated with these upcoming elections. And usually in an off-cycle election, the concentration is more on the particular state or constituency, as the case may be. In this case, Osun is at the center of attraction now. And so, all eyes will be on deck. More so, it's also a litmus test for the upcoming January 16 and February 5 election coming up next year. And so, everybody wants to test his or her might. Political parties want to test their might. Don't forget that APC is in Osun, angling to showcase their might. That if we lose Osun, it portends some kind of instability in the party. So, Osun will be a good trophy for APC if APC wins that election. Meanwhile, Adeleke, the Accord Party chieftain who left PDP for Accord Party because of obvious reasons that we all know, also is holding tight to Osun State because he felt he has done so well. And in my own opinion, Adeleke has done so well in the last 3.5 years or so in Osun State. Backlog of salaries owed by Oyetola and Aregbesola were cleared. Osun State pensioners were dying in droves until when he came, and he made sure he cleared those backlogs. More than 13 years. And today, if election was to be free and fair in Osun, then civil servants, pensioners, even artisans will queue behind the current governor, who is in Accord Party. But unfortunately, Accord does not have that muzzle around him. So he needs to really double down and ensure that whatever it will take him to win the next election, he puts in place. And to the specifics, the SSG, if it is true that this wanted criminal was cited in his house, it is not, it's a pattern. Most times, fugitives, even Boko Haram members, are located within the precinct of government house. So it will not be out of place because the man feels the SSG's house is a fortress that cannot be penetrated by security forces. Maybe that's why he hid there.
Okay.
And I'm very sure that for him to have been in hiding in that particular place, he must have committed felony, not just misdemeanor.
Okay, yes, I wanted to point out something. I mean, the man cannot just think that the SSG's house is a safe haven, and run in there without the SSG.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Well, of course, the SSG...
The SSG will have thought that his house
is safe haven
for the young man.
For the young man too.
But I'm not sure that the reports say that eventually that they found him there.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So he would assume that he will be safe in that particular place. Then as to the 4.81 million naira, 4.8 million naira is not much of much of money that can be found in the house of the ISSD.
And now
councillors have more than that in their closet.
No, they are saying that 4.8 million naira.
It's not billion, it's million.
4.8 million naira. And they also discovered a register of wards.
You see, they said voters register. Not voters card. Only 2 voters cards.
I was coming to that. I mean, 2 voters cards make headline news.
It can be traced to 2 of them. Whoever is the owner of the card.
Each ward is supposed to have like 500 registered names.
No,
right?
Not ward though. Each polling unit. Has maximum of 500. And there could be 10, 15 polling units.
Okay.
In a ward.
In a ward.
Yes.
Now, I want us to do some arithmetic here. And so, let's take, for instance, there are 3 polling units in each ward. So 3 times 15. Now we are talking about 45. And so, don't you think that...
So there are 15. I mean, let's assume that each polling unit is 500.
Okay.
And let's take it as maybe 5 in a ward.
Okay.
Depending on the number of registered voters. Some wards could have up to 20.
No, but
let's just assume
3 wards per,
yes.
And so we average it to 3. And so if 3 polling units in 1 ward, so you are talking about 3 times 15.
That's 500.
3 times 15, that is 45 wards.
45 polling units.
Now, this 45 polling units.
And with 1,500, 500 in each polling unit.
You think that 4.81 million is not enough to buy votes in that?
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. Because it's not the physical buying that is even the... There are layers to, some will be mobilized to the center and in addition paid.
They will also pay agents.
They will pay agents, and they will also pay...
Yes, now, the secretary to the state government, should he, in his capacity as SSG, be doing the work of the party? I'm just asking.
He's a party man.
He's a party man.
He's a party man, and so if he's assigned to do specific
there's
duties,
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
now,
with that.
The opposition, Accord is saying, this operation...
They also arrested their own members.
Exactly.
80 members.
No, that the string... Now, is both the SSG and 80 members are all of the Accord party.
Yes.
Now, the Accord party is saying, this thing is happening because we are not APC. That if it were to be APC, that this string operation, purportedly or reportedly by the police, wouldn't have happened. I like the fact that you mentioned something like, APC wants to... Osun should be a trophy for them.
A trophy, yeah.
Being that we understand that the president comes from Osun State originally.
He has not said that.
Reportedly comes from Osun State. And so it would be good for him, to win that state.
Base.
He has not said that, but you also know that Oyetola is his relation. Oyetola, former governor of Osun State. Okay, so does it look like APC is also trying to do some kind of, we want to use the power of incumbency from above to take the state? If what the Accord party, if what they are alleging is true, will it look like?
You see, all is fair in war.
All is fair in war.
Yes. This is politics, except we want to just pontificate the impossible.
Okay.
A politician wants to win at all costs.
At all costs.
Yes, that's it. A politician wants to win at all costs. If Trump, in his first time, could go all the way to Russia, that had years of Cold War with it, to manipulate election in US. So what can a politician not do?
No, but that has been debunked.
Well, it is for everybody to know where the thing is coming from.
Okay, so
but what I'm saying is, if ADC has a foothold in Osun today,
it will do the same.
It will do the same.
Okay, so when politicians come out and say, well, it's a do or die affair, there's nothing wrong with it. Because
it is some zero game in Nigeria. Because if you lose, you lose totally.
No, are we talking about Nigeria, or are we talking about what should be?
Are we referencing Nigeria, or are we referencing the world?
Okay, so there's nothing wrong in grab it, snatch it, and run with it.
No,
because
I've not said
because this is
that.
Nigeria.
I've not said that.
No, you said that all is fair.
I said all is fair in war.
And so politics is war to you.
Politics is war.
Okay.
Except you want to deceive yourself.
Okay, so
politics is war.
Grab it, snatch it, and run with it is fair.
Whatever tactics they use.
Whatever tactics. So the end justifies the means.
Machiavelli.
You said so you're a Machiavellian politician.
I'm not a politician.
Okay. Then you suggest that to politicians.
I'm not a politician.
You suggest that to politicians as an analyst.
I'm not suggesting it, but they do it.
They do it.
Yes.
So how can we, I'm sorry to butt in,
No,
how can we ensure that the votes
count?
That the votes count? I mean, in all of this happening, because the elections are just a few, I think,
months.
It's August. I mean,
August 8th.
August
8th.
is here.
Yeah, it's almost here. I think a week plus. How can we ensure that the votes of the average Osun resident, citizen, counts?
You see,
amidst all of this.
You see, it's a function of so many variables. One of it is the resolve of the voters to go along with their conscience, given the prevailing situation on ground. So, for me, if I am going to the polls, I am not going there to collect money to sell my conscience. I would rather vote for the candidate I prefer. If all voters do that, then we are getting somewhere. 2, let the voters also monitor their vote. There is opportunity for you to stay within the precinct of the polling unit to monitor what goes on there and get the results before you disperse. Then 3, people should talk to their family members, particularly those who have the propensity to cause havoc, to stop doing that so that there won't be any threat to lives and property during election day. And then finally, politicians should also eschew violence. If we're able to do that, and then INEC should also be truly independent. Once we have that, then votes will count. And in any case, if votes don't count, why would politicians bribe? Why would they buy votes? They could as well write results if it doesn't count at all.
Well, let's establish that this is still in the realm of allegations. You
mean the arrest of the SSG?
The fact that it's for vote buying. The fact that the SSG was found with materials and the materials were meant for vote buying. It's still in the realm of allegations. So let's establish that. But let's open up a little bit. Now, a lot of people are of the opinion that the APC, is trying to make the Accord Party look bad using instruments of state and the rest of them. That's the opinion of some individuals. But the bigger question I would want to ask is, in this time in our politics, what measures should we put in place to ensure that those who are involved in vote buying are, punitive measures are meted out at them to the extent that it will deter future, participants or players from doing same. What are those things that we should put in place now?
Well, you see, that should be the responsibility of the police. The police, once you arrest, you investigate, and then when there's a prima facie case against such
in previous
suspects,
elections, sorry to butt in. In previous elections, we've seen such arrests. We've seen social media videos. All right, in the 2023 election, there were, allegations of people arrested with monies in the trunk of their cars. People arrested with bags of PVCs and the rest of them. In fact, in Port Harcourt, there was the allegation that some people close to the governor at the time, were found in a hotel room with materials. So with all of these things, should we really leave it to the police to arrest, investigate? What should INEC put in place? What should the lawmakers, our lawmakers, put in place? What sort of laws should they put in place? And what is the role of the people in all of this to ensure that this is stopped or reduced to the barest?
You see, central to this discussion is the police. INEC does not have power of arrest. INEC does not have power of prosecution. Even a sitting governor does not have power of arrest. Does not, and the electoral law is clear on vote buying. There are punitive measures in the electoral law. What is required is for the police to do their job at any point in time. And until we begin to make examples of those caught in this act, then we would only end up encouraging such acts. And so it is the responsibility of the police to arrest, investigate, interrogate, and prosecute where necessary. And then at that point, you now leave it to the judiciary to conclude the matter. But unfortunately, what we see, Moses, except we want to deceive ourselves, out there, and I know that you are also a player in monitoring elections.
Okay.
No, I didn't say you are a politician.
It's essential you
clarify.
Don't be scared. I never said you are a politician.
You paused at that player.
I had to look at you.
I knew you were coming for me. That was why I paused.
Okay.
We all have covered elections beyond watching television in our different homes. Even if you walk up to the next polling unit in your area, you would have seen some of these things. The question you ask yourself is, politicians across the divide are involved in all of this. It is only when it is not enough on your side and somebody bids higher that you complain. In the last Ekiti election, other political parties were also giving out money. So imagine if somebody is giving out 3,000 and somebody is giving 10,000 and another person is giving 20.
In fact,
it becomes the highest bidder.
In fact,
Senator Adams, some of the people that are even clever could even collect from the 3.
Yeah.
And then go for whatever he wants to go for. So if we are all involved, then who bears the cat?
Exactly. That's the question Moses is asking. And we are looking for, because we have seen politicians. Tony Okocha in Rivers State, he didn't mince, he didn't hide it. He said, we rigged. I mean, we rigged the elections. Now,
if Yar'Adua could say that.
Okay. He said it was fraud.
Yes.
Shomole too said.
No, I'm happy that you said that the police is central in all of this. Yeah. Now, we are going into not just the Osho election, we're also going into a Nigeria general election. And the issue of state police, is on the front burners. Everybody wants to, We even hear that 4 states, 4 governors have said that, well, we are going to use our internal security outfit and transform them into state police. And so now the question is this. With elections, how do you think that the governors who want to come back, returning governors, the power of incumbency, how will state police ensure that elections are free and fair, especially when they are now under the thumb of the government?
That sounds very dicey. And in all honesty, it's very, very, because we are just, if we sit here and begin to interrogate this, we are just trying to imagine through conjecture that, okay, it's probably going to be this way or that way. But the point is, we have seen in the past in this country that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And in this case, I am imagining how a commissioner of police that was influenced, his appointment was influenced by a sitting governor, will stand up to say no to that governor when it matters. So it might not be Uhuru yet. But the point is, what values are we espousing in politics that could change this mantra? What exactly are we looking at to ensure that we reduce this tension? Because for every election, it comes with tension. It comes with apprehension. Now, there are some people that are still strolling the streets now that may be marked for death before that Saturday, August 8th. Ordinary consensus arrangement brought blood in its trail. Now, imagine the election proper, where offices are highly monetized to the extent that you can be transformed from an Okada rider to a House of Rep member riding 160 million naira SUV in no time, just because you won an election. Is that not enough incentive for people to kill? Is that not incentive for people to go all out to win at all costs? Until we begin to look at our books and begin to de-emphasize money in the electoral process, until we begin to de-emphasize money in public office. If I was reading last night about the salary of soldiers in the US. The least paid soldier, a private, earns between 26 and $37,000 annually.
Per annum.
Per annum. So that translates to about 2,500 to 3,000. And with insurance, with medical facilities and all that. Now, compared to here, politicians don't earn as much as we politicians in Nigeria earn. Professor Wande Abimbola, former Vice Chancellor of University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, said when he was in the Senate in the Second Republic, that it was like a part-time, that he still comes back to Unifeden to lecture in his free time, and that what he was paid was barely enough to take care of him. But today, anybody, no matter how hungry looking somebody is, once he crosses to Abuja as a rep member or senator, by the time he's coming back, you will know that he has already hit it. He's coming with bag full of money. You imagine a legislator whose responsibility is to make laws, now doing 10 billion empowerment in 1 year. How did he make that 10 billion? So as long as political space is heavily monetized, you can't stop these people. Because it's going to be some zero game. And it becomes survival of the fittest. And that's why it is easy for them to close their eyes and do things they ordinarily wouldn't have done, if not because they are heading towards a narrow path that cannot take two people at the same time.
Some people have said one of the ways out might be to make political office in Nigeria unattractive. But I mean, just like you said, there's so much money.
There's so much
money at their disposal. And then you also brought up something quite very strong. You said we should deprioritize politics of money. But we sit about on this table and we talk about this week in, week out, that there's so much poverty. And a lot of people are willing to sell their votes at that immediate, just so that they can feed, so that they can survive. And then I do know that, was it you or one of the lawyers who said that collect their monies but don't vote for them? So what are we preaching, really?
Let me debunk that collect their money, don't vote for them. Okay. It's not possible. You cannot collect money and not vote. Because they are also mindful of the fact that you could collect their money, because these people that you are playing games with, they live on the same streets with you. They know you.
Absolutely.
So what they do is they make sure that there's a process that you cannot bypass. The moment you don't collect that money until you vote, every polling unit where these vote buyers sit, they sit close to the polling booth. So the moment you thumbprint, you have to raise it up as if you are trying to.
So basically, if you are privy to this information, that means the security agencies are also privy to it.
Of course, they are complicit.
The agents of the parties are also privy to it.
And then the police cannot challenge you for making sure that your ink does not spill.
The agents of the parties.
Party agents.
Oh well. Well, let's move away from that conversation. Let's get into security matters now. Boko Haram ISWAP clash, leaving scores dead. Let's talk about this when we come back.
Hello, my name is Inejo. Keep watching Voptv.
What up? My name is Usimachiku. You are watching Voptv. Keep it locked.
Hello, I am Floyd Igbo. Keep watching Voptv.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing good. Keep watching Voptv. And, just have an amazing day. Thank you.
Hi, guys. It's your boy Praise. Keep watching Voptv.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Bamakore, actor, model, producer, and I'm giving a big shout out to Voptv, man. Keep watching. Don't change the dial. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from the Real Housewives of Lagos and the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people. You already know. Stay tuned, keep watching. And don't forget, VOP is the best.
All right, hello, it's a boy that's shagging the man fine back with Melanie Poppy Black Skin Boy. This is Voptv. If you're not watching VOP, I don't know why you're watching. Maybe you're watching your weight.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Wale Ojo, and you're watching VOP, Voice of the People.
Hi, guys. You already know who it is. This is New Energy. Flyers Boy Ever Live. Keep watching VOPTV. Thank you.
Hi, people. Ginny Albano here. Guys, please keep watching Voice of the People.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Appeon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, please discuss.
The rains are here. They bring relief, green fields, and fresh water.
but they can also bring danger if we are not careful. Rule 1. Avoid flood waters. Never walk, wade, or drive through moving flood water. Fast-moving water can sweep you off your feet, and that water may hide open drains, sharp objects, or live electric cables. Rule 2. Stay away from weak structures and slopes. Heavy rain can weaken buildings, walls, and hillsides. Avoid sitting on the old buildings, billboards, or trees. If your area is prone to landslides, report cracks or soil movement to emergency agencies immediately. Rule 3. Protect yourself from lightning and accidents. Stay indoors during thunderstorms. Avoid open fields, tall trees, and metal objects. If you must travel, drive slowly. Use your headlights and never use an umbrella near power lines or while riding. And rule 4. Stay healthy. Clear your gutters to stop mosquitoes that causes malaria. Boil or filter your drinking water. Keep food covered to avoid cholera and typhoid. And wash your hands often. This rainy season, stay alert, stay prepared, stay alive. This message is brought to you by Voice of the People Television.
Hey guys, it's your girl Arika the Dimples, aka Risky Baby, and you are watching Voptv. Do not go anywhere. Where are you going to? Stay here. Calm down. Stay here if you're not.
What's up, everybody? Who's Arco here, and I'm hanging out on Voptv. Keep it locked, don't go nowhere. Let's go.
Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Jagade. You are watching Voptv, and don't change the dial, because I said so.
Who's happy to post them and who's happy the most? Because when shit goes south, y'all be happy to ghost. When you make a wrong move, they be happy to roast. But be careful when you win, who's not happy to toast. I am VJ Adams, and you rock with Voptv. Don't move.
Hi, people. Bisola here, and you are watching Voptv. Mwah.
Shout out to Voptv. It's so good to have you on the red carpet of AV. Love you all. Wishing you all the best.
Here's a shout out to Voptv. It's your girl April Oshidikwe at the AV premiere. You know what it is. Hi everyone.
Country in the world, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, my name is Tomo Watebe. I'm an actor, and you guys are live on Voptv. Keep it locked, because I said so.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your girl Philly Storms out here, and this is a big shout out to Voptv.
Hi guys, my name is Charles Bourne.
My name is Lydia Lawrence Nzaya.
Please keep watching Voice of the People Television. Love ya.
In a world where power shapes with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth leads the voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world. Because
Welcome back. Fresh fighting has broken out between rival terrorist group Boko Haram JAS and the Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, around Mangari and Tubun Alura in the Lake Chad Islands. According to security sources, the clash reportedly left scores of fighters dead, with JSS said to have gained the upper hand by killing dozens of ISWAP members, seizing 2 boats used for transporting fighters and supplies, and retreating it to its Kanawa stronghold. The confrontation is believed to be part of the long-running battle between the 2 factions for control of territory, recruitment network, and strategic supply routes in the Lake Chad region. In response, the Nigerian military formations around Lake Chad have been placed on high alert over fears that fleeing terrorists could disperse into nearby communities or launch retaliatory attacks. Troops have also intensified surveillance in key locations, while security officials are considering expanded offensive operations to prevent the fighters from regrouping. Although the internal conflict could temporarily weaken both terrorist factions, authorities warn that it may also increase security risk for civilians as surviving fighters search for new hideouts, supplies, and targets. We are being joined this morning in the studio by Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, a public affairs analyst and an agriculturist. Good morning, Mr. Ekundayo.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's unpack all of this. One of the issues, plaguing insecurity, the defense in Nigeria is the porous borders. Now we're talking about these fightings between rival terrorist groups in the Lake Chad Islands. How can we ensure that? I mean, how can we firm up security? Because our borders, especially up north, seem to be quite porous. And one of the reasons why some of these terrorists make inroads into Nigeria.
It's more than being porous. Our border is more than being porous.
Yeah.
If it is porous, it's minor. It's an haven. It's now a base haven for these terrorists. That's why you see them fighting for control. It's now like an headquarter for them, and it's a big problem. That's the main problem, and that's why they are fighting for control, because they see that place as a fertile ground for them to establish and launch attack from anywhere they want to launch attack to, then come back there and hide. Not even hide, settle down, regroup before they will go again. That's why when the US came, it was that same point that they killed the assistant head of that ISWAP. That same Borno and the same border. So you can see that it's like headquarter for them. It's like a base for terrorists that are fleeing in the world, maybe in the Middle East, to come down, and settle down. There was a time that Nigerian troops killed foreigners, like Palestinians, in that area, plus one cameraman or something. So you can see that if they go to that place now, you see that so many terrorists find that place as a haven to settle, regroup, recuperate, and then launch another attack. That's why that place, something more than just bombing has to be done. Intelligence has to be done in that place, such a way that all the networks, their connections, has to be blocked. That's the way that place can really, be free of all this terror. That's why you see them, fighting among themselves, because they see that place to be a very juicy, fertile, safe, haven for them to settle and then recuperate or whatever they want to do, and then launch attack, whatever they want to, and then come back there again. It shows lapsity in our intelligence, because without intelligence, you can never win a war, no matter how powerful you are. Intelligence is what really wins war. It's intelligence.
You talked about local intelligence. How can we how can the coalition forces cut off this local intelligence and funding, which seems to be, breathing new life into these terrorist networks?
Now, there are two things to it. One, your internal political system must be proactive, must be decisive, objective to rout them out, which we are not really having in Nigeria. We are having a big issue about that. Second, to win terrorism war, you need intelligence, you need international intelligence to collaborate with the local intelligence before you can win that war. Because many of these terrorists you see, they have international connections. If you kill them, some of them, they will gather, resources from the other neighboring countries or whatever the international connections they have, regroup again and inflict a powerful something against you. So without international, working together intelligently, it will be difficult. And that is those two things that we are lacking in Nigeria. It's not that we don't have money. It's not that we don't have manpower. But we are lacking in two things: political will to stop it, and then proper coordination with the international communities to rout these people out.
Now, talking about international communities, we're already partnering with 5 countries. The last time I checked, We are partnering with the United States of America, Turkey, China, France, and the UK. And you also talked about blocking their networks. You heard the spokesperson to President Daniel Bwala said that while Nigerian intelligence, is unable to get some of this information, is that they use an external network. In fact, he was very specific. He said they use Starlink, which is not indigenous to us, and so that we are unable to, cut into their network to tap, and get the kind of information we need. Should that be an excuse?
No, that's not an excuse. It's not. If they take it as an excuse, I see it as a weakness. They are exposing themselves that they are incapable of solving this thing. There are two types. There are many different. Intelligence has many faces. There's local intelligence.
No, I understand. You talk specifically about cutting off their network.
That I'm coming.
Okay.
See, these people, they work with the international ones and the local ones that are within you, within us here. Those ones don't need Starlinks. You get it? They only need Starlinks when they need to communicate with those ones that are far away. But how do we use intelligence to identify those ones, that are acting as informants for those terrorists, or helping them to keep their weapons or whatever? Those how they keep weapons, maybe 1 or 2, 3 guns, or that when they need to move, that's when they will now gather those guns and then move. By the time they come back, they disperse the guns among the community. Do you have intelligence to be able to identify that?
Talking about local intelligence, now we are told that the locals have become sympathetic, to these terrorists. Why? One, for fear of harm and attack. And two, in some occasions, we see them, do what government is unable to do, like fill the void or a vacuum that the government has done. How much of bad governance affects this war on terror? Do you think that perhaps if the government was good and providing practically or more than 50% of what Nigerians want, or what the people, the terrorists, or the community, the local communities, if government is as much as providing half of what they want, could it be an impact, a positive impact on the war on terror, to the extent that, the natives will say, since government is doing this for us, no need to be sympathetic to these people?
Now,
how much of governance affects that?
Now, first of all, that's why I use the word political will. Political will, which we don't have. We don't have much of it here. If we have, it's very, very low. If I may use that word, it's very, very low. When you have a local intelligence that can gather intelligence from within and be able to send it to the government, now you'll be able to know the reasons why these people, are working in collaboration with these major terrorists. And then you'll be able to take that out. If it's something that has to do with economic issue, or maybe religious issue, maybe indoctrination, you'll be able to understand this and then be able to do your own countermeasure against it. But we have that. I was coming now this morning. I was telling somebody in my community, I said, look at this person riding a bike. This is it for up to 16 years old, and it's riding bike, and you have so many of them like that. The question is, how can somebody like that be riding? That means the government doesn't care. The local government doesn't care. It's not about taking out the bike riders. It's about regulating, monitoring, know who is who that are riding these motorbikes. And not only that, even Marwa, even buses, even all these things. If you have all those things, it's easy to be able to, identify those who are in your community, know what they need, be able to meet their needs, and then they'll be able to be, have confidence in that government and be able to support the government. One thing is this, to have confidence in the leadership that is leading you, to be able to support that leader, or leadership. Another thing is for you not to like that leadership and be able not to work with that leadership and prefer to work with the enemy. These are the problems we are having. So we have the local issue, we have the national issue, we have the international issue. You said Nigeria is working with 5. How do we work with them? When America during told us that our military is infiltrated, not only in America, so even Nigerians know, because there are some governors who have come out to say that sometimes when they have intelligence and they call the security operative, they will tell you that maybe they don't have fuel, or maybe they will tell you that they need orders from above. You should call above. You get it? Or get across to higher authority that will not give them command because you cannot command them.
Okay.
You can see all the gaps and issues we have across board. So these gaps and issues are what is giving us this problem that we have.
And you reduce everything to lack of political will.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kundayo. Let me turn to you, Dele. Now, Kundayo talked about local intelligence. There was a certain man in Borno, I hope you recall because it happened recently. The man was arrested and he spent like 13 years in detention. Why? Because at that time, the DSS said, well, he had information that there were Boko Haram, in his community, and he concealed. He didn't report. The man said, well, from my community to the city center where I could report to security agencies, is a distance. And I didn't have money to do all of that. They kept me in detention for 13 years without trial. This same government is now rehabilitating terrorists whom they said have repented. How do you align both positions? Same government doing different things.
Now, let me start by saying that the Iswa-Boko Haram conflict is as a result of comfort within that territory. Those days when there was active collaboration during the military joint task force, comprising Chad, Niger Republic, and before Niger and others went to Sahel, they never had that comfort, never had that safe haven. So, at the heart of this is that problem that came as a result of the military taking over Niger and having because there was a pushback from Nigeria when these military boys took over in Niger. So they didn't want to have anything to do. So they rather secured their territory and allowed Nigeria to also take care of its own territory. And when you are divided along that line, these people, they take advantage of it. It's just like a mother and a father divided over a child at home. The child will pander to the one that is softer.
So I'm sorry, Dele, I want us to go back to the time of the joint task force.
Yes.
Now, that's the joint military task force.
Task
that
force.
Had Niger, Chad, Nigeria, Cameroon.
Yes.
But I recall that at that time, Chad, Niger, Cameroon were able to rout out and push out these terrorists from their countries. And because Nigeria wasn't able to do that,
But
that was how
Chad was not safe even for them.
Exactly the point.
It wasn't.
No, they pushed out all the terrorists.
Toji Bello is from Nigeria.
They pushed them to Nigeria. If Nigeria had done its own job, they would have been routed out.
Yes.
And so I'm just saying that before the military took over, those guys in those other countries had already done. You recall that Cameroon pushed them out of Cameroon, pushed them into where? Into Nigeria. Nigeria did the same thing, and Chad did the same thing. Yeah. So why didn't we do that in Nigeria?
You recall that recently Cameroonian gendarmes even infiltrated Nigeria in the pursuit of these miscreants.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a Nigerian problem.
It's a Nigerian problem. Okay. And now it is time for Nigeria to begin to address that problem. Now, to your specific question as to local intelligence and the rest of it, the question you have is, for me to release intel to a security man, I must also be confident that that man will not let me out to the enemy. In a situation where Boko Haram members that were known as killers in those communities are rehabilitated and now donning Nigerian Armed Forces uniform, embedded in Nigerian Army, now part of people securing that territory. Only an insane person would want to give out intel in that environment, because there is propensity for that so-called repented and rehabilitated Boko Haram member to go to the other side. And if he's not going to go to that other side, it's a veritable tool for intel to the enemy. So that average villager would rather keep to himself
for self-preservation. So Intel may not work at that level. Now, is it the soldier that is denied his rightful ration? Whose salary of 100,000 was celebrated in public by a former CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, even when that 100,000 is not even enough to feed the dog of some of these generals. And you are taking somebody from his family for upward of 1 year, 2 years, you are denying that person ration. And then, ordinarily, the intelligence corps is supposed to have enough resources to buy intel. That's what is done in the security circle. You buy intel. You take somebody to a comfortable area. It's just like in the media. We were trained and we have used it several times that when you want to get unconventional information, you take out that young man that is hungry, take him to a restaurant, feed him, buy him beer. He will let out the information in no time. And when he's leaving, you give him money as his transport fare. He will give information. But somebody that has been denied ration, is it the same person that he has resources to talk to the locals? Because you must buy the confidence of the locals before they open up to you. So it's a big issue that the security agencies should begin to look into to ensure that, because all these little things coalesce to become whole when fighting insecurity. As to the ISWAP Boko Haram fight, good for us, good news for us, and we'll continue to help them to fight themselves so that they can begin to decapitate themselves for us to live in peace.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for doing justice to that. Let's talk about housing now. The rising housing cost has sparked safety concerns among Nigerians. Let's talk about this when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
Housing has become increasingly expensive, with the cost of renting and purchasing properties rising beyond the reach of many individuals and families. In many cities, prospective tenants and home buyers are paying significantly more than they did just a few years ago, placing additional pressure on household incomes. While industry experts attribute the increase to factors such as inflation, rising construction costs, land prices, and growing urban demands, concerns persist over whether the quality of housing is keeping pace with the rising costs. In recent years, reports of building collapses and substandard construction have continued to raise questions about compliance with building standards, regulatory oversight, and the use of quality materials. These incidents have heightened public concerns about the safety and integrity of some developments. As the demand for housing continues to grow, stakeholders say the conversation must extend beyond affordability to include accountability, quality assurance, and stronger enforcement of building regulations to ensure that every home is not only accessible, but also safe for occupancy. Housing has become increasingly expensive, with the cost of renting and purchasing properties rising beyond the reach of many individuals and families. In many cities, prospective tenants and home buyers are paying significantly more than they did just a few years ago, placing additional pressure on household incomes. While industry experts attribute the increase to factors such as inflation, rising construction costs, land prices, and growing urban demands, concerns persist over whether the quality of housing is keeping pace with the rising costs. In recent years, Reports of building collapses and substandard construction have continued to raise questions about compliance with building standards, regulatory oversight, and the use of quality materials. These incidents have heightened public concerns about the safety and integrity of some developments. As the demand for housing continues to grow, stakeholders say the conversation must extend beyond affordability to include accountability, quality assurance, and stronger enforcement of building regulations to ensure that every home is not only accessible, but also safe for occupancy.
Well, there you have it. That report by our correspondent, Praise Yoyogene. Well, the cost of securing a home has become a major concern for many Nigerians as both rental prices and property value continue to climb despite economic challenges. For many households, owning or renting a decent home is becoming increasingly difficult, with rising costs forcing families to adjust their budgets or settle for a less desirable accommodation. Now, experts point to inflation, the high cost of building materials, land acquisition, expenses, and rapid urbanization as key drivers of the trend. At the same time, questions are being raised about whether the quality of available housing reflects the prices being charged. Recurring cases of building collapse and poorly constructed structures have renewed concerns about safety standards, regulatory enforcement, and the accountability of developers. Well, this has sparked a broader conversation on the need for strict compliance with building regulations to ensure that affordable housing does not come at the expense of quality and public safety. Well, we do have a gentleman with us in the studio, a real estate consultant, construction project manager, Olaiton Ashoba. Good morning to you. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning, sir. Thanks so much.
All right, Olaiton, talking about housing. You see, earlier in the day, we're talking about how, the what I will call preponderance of building collapse has affected lives. I mean, the other day was the hostel in Anambra. Yeah. Some students were found dead. The other day was in Edo State, flood, washed off the soil and buildings collapsed and other things, properties, graveyards were, dug up and the rest of them. In Lagos, so there's a lot of it, a lot of building collapse. What would you blame this on? Is it due to the high cost of property, making people use substandard property? Is that it? A friend of mine the other day, now you are into construction property. A friend of mine was trying to purchase a property in a highbrow area in Lagos. And, when they went for inspection, these properties that developers build and, you just pay and move in. And by the time they touched some parts of the wall, the walls came off. And then they stood outside and took a proper look at the house and realized that it was tilted. Unusually tilted. What is the cause of all of this?
Okay, I think one of the major causes of this is, I will limit it to 3 factors. Number one of the factor is, the shortfall of the real estate market. Because now we are beginning to experience high demand for spaces, for residential properties. But do we have this in the market? The answer is no. Okay, Lagos, for instance, now we have about 3.4 million housing deficits. Okay, and in order to close this gap, we need about 700,000 houses to be developed and completed within a year. Okay, 700,000 to be developed and completed within a year to close this gap within a few years. But looking at our conditions and what we have in the market today, okay, in recent time, Lagos State government as an institution I've only been able to develop about 10,600 units. Okay. When you compare that percentage to what we need, then we begin to say, okay, what are the factors? I mean, when we begin to look at, okay, what are real estate developers doing in order to close this gap? Are the developers encouraged? Okay. And that is why I limit the factors to the shortfall of the market. That is one. Number two, another factor is the rising costs of building in general. And number three, the action of the government. When we talk about the action of the government, then we can go to what are the policies available for us out there to operate as real estate developers to be able to close up these housing deficit gaps. That's one. Number two, then we go to terms of regulation. Okay, you ask the question that, okay, maybe some apartment doesn't worth what they sell in the market. And this calls for due diligence. And even this Lagos State government have been able to set up regulatory bodies. That's the Lacera Lagos State Real Estate Developer Regulations. This is to check out, okay, who are causing this damage in the market, because you can't just capitalize and say in general that real estate developers are not developing properties that are worth the value. How deep have you gone in checking the integrity of the
That's
developer?
the government now.
Yeah. No, you as an individual, how deep have you gone in checking the integrity of the developers? On the government's hand, the government has
Also,
set
the
up-
individual will, check the integrity. Is it like a website to
No, like
check, or
you want to
diligence.
purchase an apartment.
Yes.
Okay. How have you carried out your due diligence?
Of the
Yes, of the
developer, that
property.
developer?
Yes. Are you going through professionals, or you are doing it all by yourself? When you are doing it all by yourself, do you know what and what to check? The right questions to ask. The certificate you need to ask for you to confirm, okay, does this property really follow the true procedures? Okay, where are the certificates? Because for Lagos State now, for every building now, you demand for certificate of completion, the stage certification that approve every stage of the construction process to the final stages. But you as an individual, you might not know this. That's why.
Is it possible for developers to circumvent that? To
Uh,
avoid the stages, avoid the
No, I think-
certification, and just put up a building?
No, that's very hard. That is
Okay.
very, very hard in Lagos State as at now. Because when we begin to look at these agencies, we have about 5 or 6 agencies you need to go through. Okay. And this happens at every stages of the development.
And they visit sites.
Yes, they visit sites. Okay. Before you even commence building or construction, you have to go through the last part, which gives the building approval. Okay. You getting the building approval doesn't mean you can go to site and start.
Okay.
Before you start, you now need to go through the LABSCA, which is Lagos State Building Control Agency.
Yeah.
These are the ones that give approval for you to start. And even the approval is for a certain stage of development,
Okay.
in which they come and inspect, they give the
Before they give you
approval,
another approval
yes,
for the next
before you
stage.
can continue.
So why then do we see dilapidated looking structures, poorly constructed structures?
I would say to a large extent, this has been reduced, although it still exists. That means Lagos State now needs to carry on maximum enforcement to make sure these are being carried out in alignment to which this agency are being set up. Okay, because another key factors I would like to draw out in this agency is because some of this agency are set up for regulatory purposes and to carry out these duties. For some of these agencies are beginning to look into how they can make money.
Okay.
This is a factor we need to look into.
Okay.
And Lagos State did something last year which I appreciated enough. This is a waiver for penalties, okay, in which they gave a free, the open freedom for everyone. Okay, you started building, you've not done this earlier. We want you to come, before you continue your construction, come back to us. We are not charging you any penalty. Now, some of this agency, they just come, charge a penalty, you pay the penalty, they don't carry out this real function whereby development is being carried out. These are the problems. They are after just making money instead of carrying out the real regulatory purpose in which it was being set up. This is an issue for us. And also, don't forget, as they begin to charge this penalty or get money from developers, this is also affecting the cost of building. And this burden still falls on developers.
Because they will naturally have to transfer that cost to the end user, to
Definitely.
the consumer. So, more like when you started out, you sounded as if regulation wasn't a problem because there are, according to you, 5 stages that one has to go to. And so, at what point does regulation become a problem?
Okay. I stated that the regulation is not a problem. We have the agency.
Okay.
We have the law guiding it. But how can we look into the issue of enforcement?
Okay.
How are these rules being enforced? Who are those in charge enforcing this rule? Are they carrying out the enforcement, or they are only trying to make money as an agency through this enforcement? Okay, because if they begin to carry on this real enforcement, then, of course, as a developer, we are happy when they come. We invite them, they come as at when due. This is another factor. Sometimes you write to them, demand them, okay, please come to site. We have achieved this stage. You have to pay a certain sum of money before they can send someone to the site. And if they don't come to the site to verify, you can't continue as a developer.
Certain sum of money, like to the tune of how much? Roughly.
I wouldn't like to state any amount yet. But
No, please.
you need to set.
So we need to have an idea. You could give us a range.
How much?
No,
in the range of what?
It differs in terms of the kind of development being carried out. Okay, when you're looking at maybe a private or person developing your property.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you now need to invite these lab people to site, come and carry out the inspection. They will request for you, okay, a transport fare, memorandum. You just need to pay this thing, maybe 100 to 200,000 before they can
come to site.
Which is a problem for us. Now, you have to come to site maybe about 5 times for every stages of the construction before completion. For these 5 times, calculate 200,000 naira times 5.
1 million.
That is a million naira. That is aside
Just for them to
even
come
the
to
payment.
site.
Okay, before you can even obtain this approval, you need to pay. That's one. For them coming to site, you need to pay.
But what's the price range that you pay?
Okay,
to obtain the
I
approval?
think just for, let's say, a residential building, maybe
Yes.
just your personal building, you can budget at rate of maybe 2 to 3 million naira before you can get all this approval to even start
All
your
5
building.
of them?
Yes, all five
All
of
5
them.
of them?
All 5 of those
Yeah.
approvals.
So when we begin to see other high developments, so the prices changes, and also it is cost by areas, which means the location of the development
Will determine how much.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Places like Ikeja, the Lekki VI, it has its own cost variation compared to places like Ikorodu, Ekpe, and other developmental zones within the states.
Okay, now he asked you why there's this issue of substandard buildings and all of that. The first one you said was because of the glut. Something, not glut really, that 700,000 deficit, which we are in a hurry to fill in. And so people just try to construct and sell so that people can pack in. Now, the second one is regulation. Which one is the third one?
Okay, that's a cost of construction.
Cost of construction.
Okay, I think every day we are experiencing escalation in the price of raw materials and building materials to build. Okay, as a developer, you're about to start a building, you have a projection of, okay, this building is going to cost us about 400 million naira to complete. And just a change in some policy in some side of regulations, like, okay, petrol today is 1,500, and tomorrow you are getting to know petrol is 1,200. Next tomorrow it is 2,000 naira. How do you, as a developer, carry on your building projects with the projections you already have? This is an issue whereby something you factor to be 400 million naira, you now begin to say that you are spending over 650 billion naira. Don't forget, so many of these developers are already developing through off-plan, in which buyers key into the project at an early stage for a fixed amount of price.
Okay.
And they need to deliver. How do they deliver it? How do they sort out themselves? And they have to deliver.
Let me understand. Off-plan means when they start the project, they put it out there, people will pay money. Okay. Buyers will buy into it, right?
Yeah.
And then they use the money to build.
And then the money...
Okay, this is how the off-plan project works.
Okay.
Okay, I as a developer, I have a project, okay? I've done everything I need to do regarding the project, the certification, everything, and I need to start building. I can't go to the bank to get money. Why? The interest rates.
Oh.
This is a problem. Every developer is finding a way to turn away from the bank because the interest rate, there's no how you can develop with this interest rate and complete the property, sell, and break even.
So what do you do?
Now, we need to go back to the people. We need to raise money through interested buyers. Okay. And we now give them an opportunity to pay this money over a certain period of time.
Okay.
While development is being
ongoing. Okay.
Yeah. So that's where the problem comes in. Okay. Already, you have a plan that this building is going to cost 450 million.
Okay.
Okay. You've started your building, you've gone halfway, and suddenly they are changing prices of materials you need to complete this building.
And the buyer has already paid.
The buyers has already paid into this. And don't forget,
so you can't
the
even
signed
increase,
document. You can't increase it again. You have to deliver. That is where the problem of, okay, you
using
plan to deliver
substandard materials.
Substandard materials, okay. You need to deliver within 2 years. It's now becoming 5 years.
So what's your, because we're running out of time, what would you demand from government? How can government help in all of this?
Okay, I think one of the areas government can help is, okay, now even a lot of people are not interested in developing low and middle income residential properties for people. Everyone is focusing on luxury real estate development because that's the only way you can break even in the market. Okay, when you look at the development around us now, might be for short-term development or for high-income earners, what can the government do? Number one, when we begin to look like areas like, okay, maybe the support parts of the states, talking of, okay, maybe the Ikorodu has this, the Ekpe has this, the Badagry has this. In the areas of documentation, can the government introduce back waivers in this documentation fee?
Okay.
Can they cancel out this penalty? Of course, this agency will carry out your duties, okay? But cancel out this penalty. By the time you do this...
Penalty, like how much?
The amount you need to pay for a certain default, maybe you didn't carry on inspection.
But don't you think if they cancel penalties, it might allow for free reign?
No, I don't believe that. Because, okay, as a developer, you can't continue until they approve this stage. Okay? That is it. And if every developers know that, okay, you can't continue until this stage is approved, okay, they have that free will to now go. Okay, now you started your building, you didn't complete this stage, they come, they mark your property, and they stop construction. What do? The first thing you need to think about is, okay, how can I pay in penalty?
Okay, so you want them to cancel that penalty, but when they come and you haven't concluded that stage...
You have to stop construction.
You have to stop construction, but no payment will be
No
made.
payment required.
Oh, okay.
Stop construction, no payment required until you fulfilled everything you need to do before you can continue construction.
Okay.
And anyone that continue construction, then you can, of course, arrest warrants, withdraw of license.
Okay,
Oh.
okay. All right, unfortunately, I mean, there's a lot to talk about in this area, really, but we are out of time. But now, for the buyers, we are stretching this a little bit.
Okay.
For the buyers, you talked about checking to know the integrity of the developer.
Okay.
How can the buyers do that? Because buyers are concerned. Nobody wants to use 300 million naira to purchase a house, and then some few years down the line, the house is coming down on you and your children.
Okay. I think one thing every buyer needs to understand now is sometimes they can't do this on their own. They need
So
to
who should
use
they go to?
professionals.
Okay,
We have real
there's a
estate
professional body.
consultants. We have their lawyers that carry out due diligence. We have construction experts.
But isn't that extra expense on the buyer?
It is better for you to spend this extra expense instead of you getting a property that doesn't worth the value of what you are paying.
But it's not better for you to pay the penalty when you...
No, don't forget, if we continue to pay this penalty, the price also adds up to the price of the property.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Olaito Ashoba. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, we're out of time and we have to go. But Olaito Ashoba is a real estate consultant, construction and project manager. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
This morning. Well, this is how far we go on the show today. I am Moses Humphrey. I'll see you at 10 for newspaper review.
I'm Jane Ogoye. Thank you for watching. See you at 10.
I'm Chukuma Okoro. Bye for now.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging one-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chukuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us.
Nigerians, your voice matters, and in 2027 it starts with your permanent voters card, your PVC. If you're 18 and above and you're a Nigerian citizen, you have the right to choose who leads your community, your state, and your country. But that right only counts if you have your PVC and your name is on the voter register. Here's what to do. First, check if you're registered. If you're not, or if you've moved, lost your card, or turned 18 since the last election, go to the nearest INEC office or an INEC registration center. Second, it's free. Don't pay anyone for any registration or collection. Third, collect your PVC early. Don't wait until the week before elections. INEC will announce dates. Listen to radio, TV, and follow INEC's official pages. Your PVC is more than plastic. It's your power to hold leaders accountable. It's how you decide on roads, schools, hospitals, and jobs for your community. When you vote, you decide the future of your children. Get registered. Get your PVC. Vote in 2027. For Nigeria to work, you must be a part of it. Your vote, your future, your responsibility.
This message is brought to you by Voice of the People, VOP Media.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
If you've been drinking, don't drive. Hand over the keys to another driver. Call a friend or family member. Use a taxi or a ride-hailing service. Wait until you're completely sober before getting behind the wheel. A few minutes of inconvenience is far better than a lifetime of regret. Friends, don't stand by in silence. If someone who has been drinking insists on driving, speak up. Offer an alternative. Taking away their keys could save a life. Driving is our responsibility, not a right. Every time you take the wheel, you're responsible for the safety of everyone on the road. Today, make the choice that protects lives. Celebrate responsibly. Think before you drive. If you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink. Because every life matters and every safe journey begins with the right decision. This message is brought to you by Voice of the People Television.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpelion. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People Television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, with the sport.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, The show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on Voptv. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more, tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on Voptv. Entertainment like never before. Voptv. Now you have more than a voice.
This is Newspaper Review. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jane Ogoye, and with us this morning, we still have Mr. Dele Fanimo, we have Lawale Kundaya, and of course, Chukwuma Okoro. Good morning again, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for sticking with us. So let's kick off with some of the lead stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Fake agency scandal. HOS admits mistakes as reps uncover irregular approvals. Reps moves to secure court order to produce Adeyemi from custody. Why we could not produce Adeyemi before the reps committee, that's from the IGP. An office of the AGF confesses giving State House Permanent Secretary letter to Adeyemi. 2 riders, DSS arraigns 5 Ansaru suspects over Oyo school abduction. Hoodlums kill dispatch rider. TET fund bars varsities with abandoned projects from 2027 funding. I think let's kick off with the
HOS office.
The alleged fake agency.
It's not fake.
I said
the alleged fake agency.
No.
Disputed.
The disputed agency. All right.
What's fake about it?
You see, for me, this is a scandal that it will be very, very difficult for us to know the end of the season film. Somebody who was able to commit this scandal must have been helped by some people. And the chain is so long, the way I'm seeing it, and I still want to repeat again this morning that, as a matter of fact, if the probe goes the way it should, Kuje Prison the adjoining Kaduna prison, Zaria, Niger State prison will not be able to contain those that will be dragged into the net. Now, Office of the Accountant General of this Federation had also confessed to have issued a letter to that agency through a permanent secretary.
Yeah.
The head of service has also admitted to due diligence failure in the build-up to this. These are two powerful offices. Office of the Accountant General of the Federation is where money comes from, where releases are made. I won't be surprised tomorrow if investigation is conducted and that money was actually released and may not have gotten to the hands of Adeyemi. Nothing is impossible in Nigeria. 3, this House of Reps that is bent on probe, are they not guilty? Because to pass the budget, you must appear in front of a committee that is saddled with oversight function on that particular agency before approval is made by the House for further scrutiny before that budget is passed. Who are the committee members that Adeyemi was supposed to appear before? When he said in one of his interviews that the day he was supposed to appear before this House committee, he was in detention for another case entirely. Is that same House of Reps that is up until now still hovering around this scandal that wants to begin to probe this scandal? They should answer these questions. If Adeyemi didn't appear before them, who appeared in that committee sitting?
To defend the budget.
To defend the budget. How was the budget defended? Who gave approval for this budget to be passed, that it entered 2026 annual budget? Then on the issue of the police, a proper court of jurisdiction had ordered this man to be kept in custody. Unilaterally, the police cannot withdraw from the Nigerian Correctional Service this man. The only time he can be taken out of that prison or correctional center, whatever name you call it, is when he's due for appearance in court. Because it is assumed that the police had concluded its investigation before taking him to court. And from that moment that the man had appeared in court, it is the power of the judiciary to either release him, convict him, or give adjournment on his case when he will be appearing in court. So the police cannot unilaterally go to the correctional center to pick him for appearance without the order of the court.
Okay, now that's the point. I like the fact that you brought us to this point, because I was just going through it, and well, the IGP of police said that he was being held pursuant to a valid court order.
Exactly.
And that the only way they can produce him is if a court also gives an order or a warrant for him to be produced, to the House
to
of
appear
Reps.
before the House.
To appear before the House. Now the question would be, between the House of Reps committee and the IGP, didn't they know of this process?
IGP and the ICPC as well.
No, IGP
and that was ordered to bring.
Ordered to bring. Why did IGP have to wait until the court sitting to go and tell the committee that they cannot release him because he's been held pursuant to a court order, and that it will require another court order?
But the committee invited the IG.
But
no. What the question is, was it that morning?
They were given a notice. They didn't reply that notice. They now came and begin to tell us.
And they now came at the sitting to say this is why we didn't produce.
No, I understand that point.
You get the point.
You could have written back.
So we cannot produce it. And now the House of Reps will now look for a way to procure a court warrant, asking that he be produced before the committee. And so why that lapse?
I don't know. That's
the big question.
Yes.
So you see that there's a lot of hanky.
Chukuma.
Yes, sir.
You, God will destroy. Will first make mad.
Okay.
This is a descent to destruction. And so, let everybody play his hide and seek game.
Exactly the point.
And
So, because
so we are watching.
It's apparent that there is some kind of
exactly
that they are playing.
That's why I was wondering that this man is not appearing. Is he not supposed to appear? We're discussing it off camera at that time, and they were looking at it until you came up with this one, which is also very, very valid.
No,
because
what Chukuma is
in advance,
saying
a letter was
you are
issued
looking at the
timeline.
You are looking at the timeline.
Because they didn't go to
yes.
The House of Reps didn't say produce him this morning.
Yes.
And we are sitting now.
Yeah.
They
wrote in advance.
In advance.
And then
we
you
need
write
to
back to
produce
them,
him at
telling
a
them the
certain
procedure.
time. And the police kept quiet.
Yeah.
And when they went there,
and I told the committee that you can't produce it. Why did you come in the first place? You would have written a letter.
But there's so much irregularity with this matter because, according to the Punch here, the Office of the Accountant General have also admitted to making a mistake. The head of service have admitted, even the head of service said she didn't know. She eventually found out that it was a fake agency. That was presented. So, if we have to do the right thing, a lot of heads must roll, really. So do you think this will go like the way of every other
another thing about the letter?
In this case,
another thing, can I say something?
Yeah.
Another thing about the letter is that they said the signature on his appointment letter is different from the signature on the other's appointment letter. Is that not clear enough?
No,
it's not forged. It was a different signature.
Was it signed by same person or different people?
They said they are different. What I'm trying to say is that if these signatures are not the same, that is obvious. You could have said, okay, why do we have different signature here from the other ones?
No, these are the questions that they need. That's why they are probing. These are the questions that they need.
There is this music. There are more questions than answers. Okay. One reggae musician sang that song. So it's a case of more questions than answers now.
Oh, the more you look.
The more you look, the less you see.
And another thing I want to bring out is this. One, Adeyemi was invited by somebody to come and take government appointments. You must be invited. You can't go on your own. You get it?
We'll get to that point.
Then second, who personally gave him that appointment letter? Because first, you must meet somebody one-on-one. After meeting the person one-on-one, then you are being scrutinized.
It's a whole lot of channels.
Give you that Adeyemi needs to speak his own. How the whole process happened.
They will bring him out to speak. But Jen, to answer your question directly, are we going to let this slide? Are we going to sweep it under the carpet? I think that this is one case that Nigerians haven't let just go like that. Since it's happened, Nigerians have been keeping tabs on it. Especially the media. At every turn, they update us. They give us developments. This is what is happening. This is what.
Even though we have issues with the framing.
The only issue I have
is
that fake. I don't like the fact that it is called fake because it does exist. The only thing they could have said, that it doesn't have legal backing, just like so many other
controversial
of government, just like so many other agencies of government. Well, we also understand that some of them don't even have ministries supervising them. Dele here used to say that some of these agencies, if you go to Abuja, you just discover that they have one-room office in the Federal Secretariat. And they don't even have offices
lots of money.
Beyond no regional office, no state office, nothing.
And all of that.
They are agencies on paper.
Nigerians are on it, and I'm sure that we will not let it go.
Hopefully, we don't get carried away when something bigger happens.
And another thing is that this is going to help us to push for total overhauling, scrutiny of all the agencies that are under the government.
Yeah. Let's move on. 2026.
Before you do that, that has been done in 2011.
So nothing, we didn't make any headway.
Panel. That committee came up with far-reaching decisions that would have prevented this kind of things from happening.
Unfortunately.
But unfortunately, nobody did anything about that report.
2026 budget. Government agencies vote 400 billion naira for mosques, palaces, halls. This is according to the Punch newspaper front page header. Experts demand zero budgeting over wasteful votes.
Is this one different from the one where the Deputy Speaker, House of Reps was involved?
Yes.
Because that was,
this is a different one. 78. This is the annual budget.
400 billion.
400 billion.
78 ministries.
12 point something billion.
8 point something.
I mean,
8.05 billion.
And maybe that's a fraction of the 400.
Of this.
Okay, so let me read out the first paragraphs. 78 ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government set aside 400 billion in the 2026 budget for rehabilitation of community halls, mosques, traditional rulers' palaces, village market squares, and civic centers. The Punch findings show more than half of the 400 billion was earmarked for non-development agents such as supply of grains and motorcycles, sponsorship of community thrift societies, construction of museum and mini stadium, as well as the supply of tricycles, popularly called keke marwa, to communities.
Now, the question is, all these roles you have mentioned reside with local government.
I don't know.
And some state. What has federal government got to do with mini stadium, marketplace?
Market square.
Marketplace is
traditional
meant for
rulers'
local
palaces.
Traditional rulers' palaces is the job of the local government.
The Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs.
Chieftaincy Affairs.
As a matter of fact, supervisory role is what the local ministry plays. The local government is said because the traditional rulers, they draw a certain percentage of their allocation every month.
Yeah.
I think it's 5% or so of the allocation. So how is it the responsibility of government to now begin to budget 400 billion?
Federal government.
So at every turn you discuss Nigeria. I mean, if you don't have migraine, then you know that you are a very strong person because there's every reason for you to just suddenly get sick. You know,
That's why I wear cap these days.
Okay, I mean, because if you go through the pages of newspapers, you know, the only thing that you get to hear is, or anything that you get to see is what went wrong at one point or the other. Is either members of the House of Assembly or members of the House of Representatives or senators or governors are very busy, you know, fitting themselves, dipping their hands into the pocket, 1 trillion naira for SUVs.
This morning we talked about Kogi State.
Kogi State
that spent
2.9
billion between January and June for refreshment.
In a government house where you kill a cow every day, how will you not spend 2.9 billion?
How much is even a cow?
It's this cow every day. It doesn't. So Nigeria,
and champagnes are not cheap these days.
So Nigeria, it's a nation.
You drink champagne?
Nigeria is a nation in distress.
Are we really in distress? It's a nation of plenty with misdirection of resources.
Because
misappropriation of funds.
When Pareto, the Italian economist, talked about 80-20, you know, I think he was being modest. That 20% of the people control 80% of what Italians own. But here in Nigeria, I think our own 1%. Our own should be 98%. 2%.
Yes, 90.
Because you see, just 2% of the people, of the population, you know, controlling or owning more than 80% of our national wealth. In our national life, you see, people in government, you know, they have the best, they live the best of lives.
Yeah.
They fly their families on state money to the UK, to the US, to Canada for education. They pay school fees for them, 4-year program. They pay upfront, you know, for the entire 4 years period and all of that. They fly private jets to go and attend convocations, and they not even hide it. They fly it in our faces. And
they go with a retinue of public officers.
And when you ask,
to attend their children's
when you ask, how come this thing is
graduation?
happening? People tell you, well, the fact that they were former governors, and before they were governors, what were they? It's either they were local government chairman, or they were chief of staff, or probably some kind of minister of state. Before they
some of them don't even have any function at all.
If you ask what businesses did they do before, they simply tell you, well, I come from a wealthy family. And when they buy houses in the US and other places, how come you bought those houses? They'll tell you, well, it is my wife's father, who was just a state high court judge, that gifted those houses, you know, to my wife. And you begin to ask. And at the end of the day, we move on. People. And when you even try to complain, their supporters say, well, is it the first person that has done this? Then on the morning show, I said, Africa is the only place where something that is bad has two faces.
Yeah.
People look at something that is evil.
Yeah. And try to rationalize.
And trying to recreate the narrative around it. And all of that.
It depends
and
on
so we are our own worst enemies.
It depends on which side you fall at that
particular time. Because in other places, like I cited the instance of the Prime Minister who used how much? 200,000 naira.
200 pounds. 200,000
pounds to renovate his official residence.
Near the Downing.
Near the Downing, number 11, 200,000 pounds. Far above the 30,000 annual renovation allowance, And the whole of Britain, UK was in support. Hey, this is an infraction and this man had to go. But here in Nigeria, we had the Vice President's Lodge in Lagos renovated with 21 billion naira. And you're asking, 21 billion naira?
Some people said
Did you use gold about that? Did you use gold as sand and cement?
Somebody has already there. The structure is there. It's fine. Everything is okay.
21 billion naira.
So what do you do exactly?
A building for Vice President's Lodge couldn't degenerate to a point that it will become a relic for somebody to spend 21 billion.
Because somebody just moved that from.
That's what I'm saying. So at best, maybe you repaint, you change beddings, you work on the plumbing.
21 billion.
So, and
how much? What was the initial cost of that building? You recall that when Bukola Saraki, at one budget cycle, when he was the Senate president, the National Assembly earmarked a certain amount of money, I think 20-something billion too, for a new building for him. He said, no, this is too much. He reduced it to 10 billion naira. At that point, I was still asking, what kind of house are you going to build with 10 billion? Then, what kind of house?
Are you going to house everybody in that area?
In that area. Meanwhile, he was already
only
living
one
somewhere.
wife and probably 4 children.
He was already living somewhere.
Yes.
And now he earmarked for that budget cycle, for that year. And the man said, no.
And the next year, there will be renovation.
Another one.
And yet, we have people who cannot afford 3 square meals.
See, are you talking about 3? You. How many times do you eat? How many times do I eat?
I've even reduced my own to once or twice. Seriously.
In some parts of Europe, if you don't have a job, social safety nets, the state will continue to provide for you until there is a space for you to go and work and start.
Even apart from that, churches, religious organizations, they feed their members from offerings and tithes that they collect. They feed their members. My friend went to UK, said the first time he got to church, he was looking for ushers to come and collect offering and say he didn't see any. And that there, you can excuse yourself, take a cup of coffee and come back to the church. He said, sermon does not last more than 30 minutes. He said, when they were going, they ushered them to a particular room. And there, they have already packaged food that will last you for 1 week. So it's at your discretion either to pick or not to pick. And so he said the third time he got to that church was when he asked, and they told him that right at the entrance of that church is where, if you feel like voluntarily want to pay your tithe or donate, that you just put in an envelope and then drop there. He said it's not a question of I want to show off. That
all right.
I think. Sorry, Jem. Before we move, I think Enoch Adeboye has come out to say, well, that he was wrong.
No, that video is 3 years old, but he did say it's not recent.
It's not recent.
It's just been brought back.
No, that he's sorry for saying that if you don't pay tithe, you will not
go to heaven.
Okay. But he now said something else again. He said that if that tithe is just for new members, that the moment you are not a new member, that you have gone beyond tithe, that your own should be bigger than tithe. Even
Ibiome said something about tithe. I mean, if you are not paying tithe, that is why you are not making progress.
But all those are prosperity gospel. Let's move on because we can't exhaust that. The Guardian newspaper, Atiku accuses Tinubu of fiscal recklessness, false 12.62 trillion naira borrowing. On the other hand, Oxford Economics says high interest rates in Nigeria is unsettling and hits a 20-year high. Those are the two stories.
Yes, I think I do agree with Atiku, but I want to stretch it a little further. It's not only the president that is doing some kind of fiscal responsibility. Across board, governors, members of the National Assembly, everybody is involved You know, in fact, at the state level, if you see what, Joel, let's go back. Can you imagine what 2.9 billion naira can do? And refreshments. In my own state, Abia State, first quarter of Alex Otis' regime, he used 200, and they said it was 1 billion naira. And the government came out to say, no, it wasn't 1 billion naira. It was 233 million naira for refreshments. And when the P knee down on government house, the government still said, no, it is not the government house. It's across ministries, boards, and parastatals of government. In one quarter, 233 million naira for refreshments. And I am asking, when you get to the office in the morning, do you refresh yourself with government money?
I don't
you are already paid salaries and you are collecting your allowances.
Let's say you are the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education and I visit you, you entertain me on government account.
Are you giving me a buffet?
Are you giving me a
3
buffet?
times
How
a
come
day?
they spent
Why is the money?
203 million naira?
Yeah.
And the life of the administration that left before that one, between January and March of that same 2023, spent 8 million naira. And I still ask that same question.
What are they?
For what?
Really?
8 million naira for what? Talk less of having to move it up to 203 million naira. And now we are done with that. We are looking at 2.9 billion naira in where? Kogi State, right? State. I mean, so
and
when article talks about
article
talks about fiscal responsibility, I am sure that if you go to Adamawa State, his own state, the governor must have been involved in one kind of fiscal responsibility and all of that. So it's a total overhaul.
Is it fiscal responsibility or fiscal irresponsibility?
Irresponsibility. I'm talking about irresponsibility. I said irresponsibility.
You said responsibility.
No, I said you didn't hear it.
That's why I had to quickly let you know.
No, I had to because you didn't hear it. I said fiscal irresponsibility.
Both of you are using glasses.
If you go to Adamawa State and probably neighboring Taraba and every other state, you find that irresponsibility on the part, even local government chairmen. All of them.
You see, another area that we have not touched, and I feel that my constituency should begin to work on it, is the area of security votes.
Yes.
Our governors had tripled.
So much.
Ondo State just moved this on to 3 billion.
3 billion.
3 billion.
Ondo State.
Monthly.
Yes, monthly.
For security.
Security vote. Not accounted for by the governor.
Now, who will not want to die to become governor?
And one thing is this. My own headache about this whole thing is two things. How Nigerians go about their normal daily lives with all these things going on, and then you expect to live a normal life. It's not possible.
I don't know, but I think yesterday we talked about it where you said, okay, no, it was Moses. He said that it appears as though we are numb, but like, let's just survive. Let's just focus on our own survival.
We don't live a normal life in this country. Yeah. We don't.
Yeah.
Well, one of our guys said that Nigeria is an unusual place.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with him.
It's an unusual place.
Nigeria is an unusual
because
place.
All this money, things that
happen here, things that
can't even happen in
if they happen elsewhere,
Kenya, South Africa,
place will be on fire.
Be on fire.
That place will be on
fire.
fire.
You see, the humongous corruption in this country cannot happen to Britain. Britain will go under.
Britain is even, I mean, even